celebration is what I would say. There are 25 young fellows from Southeast Asian countries studying civic engagement at Portland State University's Center for Public Service. The Center for Public Service resides, of course, within the Hatfield School of Government, and this is their third year hosting young fellows from the ASEAN region. This program was launched in 2013 by President Barack Obama as the U.S. State Department's signature educational and cultural exchange program aimed at building the leadership capabilities of young professionals in the region, as well as strengthening ties between the United States and Southeast Asia. These brilliant young leaders come from Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Laos, Singapore, Thailand, Timor-Leste, and Vietnam, and they're making a difference in their communities, countries, and indeed throughout the entire region here. They're here today to deliver short remarks. The 25 fellows are accompanied by Dr. Jennifer Joel. Did I get your name
You
correct?
did. Excellent.
Is it Joel?
Thank you.
Good. Their action plan coach, and one of the youngest fellows, Win from Myanmar, who will also make a brief set of remarks. Welcome to you all, and I hope your stay here in Portland is meaningful as well as very productive. Thank you for being here this morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, you can cheer, that's fine.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
Mayor Wheeler, thank you for the introduction. Mayor Wheeler and members of the City Council, my name is Jennifer Joyal. I am adjunct faculty and the action plan coach for the YSEALI program team at the Center for Public Service in the Hatfield School of Government, Portland State University. I would like to acknowledge Dr. Masami Nishiba, Director of the Hatfield School of Government and YSEALI Program Director, Yachi Isako, our Program Director, also Allison McDonald, Program Officer from the U.S. State Department, joining us here today from Washington, D.C. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce the fellows from the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, or YSEALI program. As the mayor mentioned, this year, Portland State University is hosting 25 fellows from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, known as ASEAN countries. They are selected by the U.S. State Department after a very competitive selection process. And the YSEALI fellows are participating in a 5-week intensive leadership program. And during this 5-week stay in the United States, the fellows are learning about civic engagement and community-centered leadership, which Portland is very well known for. They arrived on September 28th, and they have been in Portland for about 10 days. And during these 10 days, they explored the city, taking public transportation, met with some PSU students, faculty, and staff, attended some lectures, and presented presentations by PSU faculty and community members. And last Saturday, they went to the pumpkin patch and had fun experiencing fall season in Portland. This is PSU's third year hosting the YSEALI Fellows, and during these 3 years, we have hosted a total of 65 fellows. We will be the host for the YSEALI program for the next 3 years, offering the opportunity for young leaders across ASEAN to learn alongside the people of this city. And we deeply appreciate the ongoing support that the City of Portland has been offering for this YSEALI program and the Center for Public Service at the Hatfield School of Government. Thank you for welcoming us. Now I'd like to introduce one of our youngest fellows, Win Tut Kan So, who will say a few words on behalf of the group.
Great, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah. Good morning, Honorable Mayor Wheeler and all the members of the Portland City Council. My name is Win. I'm from Myanmar, formerly known as Burma, and I'm here in the United States for Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, YSEALI Civic Engagement Fellowship Program. Thank you very much for having me here and giving me an opportunity to engage in this such an important meeting. And it is my complete honor to meet you and share who I am, why I'm here, and how the YSEALI program can help transform lives in developing countries. Our countries have a big room to develop. As I'm into education and I love working with children, since I was 14, I pay special attention to children in vulnerable communities like the homeless in the city. So many children in our countries do not receive basic education and protection from guardians and are forced to walk either on roads or at shops. So I'm now working on an initiative that helps children on the road receive vocational education from which they can make a living and increase awareness for self-protection. YSEALI is a very popular, very competitive program in our region, and many of the youth leaders doing community services are YSEALI alumni. The president of my previous volunteer organization was also an alumnus, so I got a lot of inspiration from his small walk, and that motivated me to apply for this YSEALI program. And meeting with different people from different Southeast Asian nations, as well as those in the United States, is absolutely incredible and an eye-opening experience. And through the academic discussions, lectures, and action plan at Portland State University, I have already gained better ideas to carry out more effective initiatives that are meaningful and impactful for my communities. There's still 3 more weeks left to explore in the United States, and I'm very enthusiastic to learn more, to grow, and personally and professionally. And I believe that I will be able to take everything I've learned here back to my home region, share with locals, and together make more effective changes for the common good. Thank you very much for your time and attention. And on behalf of the whole YSEALI academic cohort, I would like to express my gratitude for the opportunity to visit here and to learn from the people of Poland. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Does that complete your presentation?
It does.
Yeah, don't leave just
Oh,
yet.
oh, I'm sorry.
I think some of my colleagues might have a couple of comments.
excellent.
Commissioner Maps.
Sure. I just wanted to take a moment to thank all the YSEALI Fellows for joining us today. On behalf of the City Council, it's truly an honor to host you here in our city. We all want to extend a warm welcome to you. I also want you to know how much this council and all the policymakers in this room admire you. The program that you're participating in, we all know was started by President Obama and is supported by the State Department. Your participation in the program is a testament to the power of youth leadership and cross-cultural collaboration. I know from participating in this program and events like this in the past that you all come from diverse backgrounds and represent nations that are rich in history, culture, and potential. And I also want to thank you for your commitment to civic engagement and positive change in your own communities. Those are commitments that all of us on this side of the dais share. It's truly a privilege for us to host you on your journey and during your time here in Portland. I hope that Portland serves as a source of inspiration for you as you explore new ideas and exchange knowledge. So thank you so much for being here. I do hope that you enjoy your time in Portland, and please come back.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Ryan.
Yeah, just a couple things. First, I want to acknowledge when you said you went to a pumpkin patch, that I can look out there and see we have really different constituencies. We often do at our council meetings, and everyone smiled. So I guess pumpkin patches is what brings us together, right? I wanted to also acknowledge tomorrow you're meeting with Andrea with the Multnomah Youth Commission. So I really wish you well in that meeting. I think that will be a great connection with all of you. And because I can tell a lot of your mates are here with you, your colleagues, could you all stand up so we could just see you, the ones that are here from the program? Yay. Thanks. Someone's getting your picture. And then also you have exquisite timing coming in the middle of what we sometimes call the silly season as we're close to the election. So buckle up. Thanks.
Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. All right. This is the Wednesday, October 9th, 2024 morning session of the Portland City Council. Keelan, good morning. Please call the roll.
Good morning. Maps.
Here.
Rubio.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Wheeler.
Here. Now we'll hear from legal counsel on the rules of order and decorum. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the Portland City Council. To testify before council in person or virtually, you must sign up in advance on the City Council agenda at www.portland.gov/council/agenda. Information on engaging with council can be found on the council clerk's webpage. Individuals may testify for 3 minutes unless the presiding officer states otherwise. Your microphone will be muted when your time is over. The presiding officer preserves order. Disruptive conduct such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony or council deliberations will not be allowed. If you cause a disruption, a warning will be given. Further disruption will result in ejection from the meeting. Anyone who fails to leave once ejected is subject to arrest for trespass. Additionally, council may take a short recess and reconvene virtually. Your testimony should address the matter being considered. When testifying, please state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. If you are a lobbyist, identify the organization you represent. Virtual testifiers should unmute themselves when the council clerk calls your name. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First up is communications. First individual, please, Keelan, item 838.
Request of Diane Meisenhelter to address council regarding delays on build shift.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
I'm Diana Meisenhelder, testifying on behalf of Extinction Rebellion, a global and local climate justice movement. We're in the midst of a climate emergency, needing to cut emissions in half by 2030 or experience ever-growing unthinkable consequences. Greenhouse gas emissions from the building sector are close to 40% of overall emissions, equivalent to the transportation sector. This summer, many testified about Merton, which was supposed to be phase one of the city's building decarbonization campaign. Over 70% of those who testified favored moving forward with plans for gathering baseline data on energy use for large residential buildings and for tenant notifications on indoor air quality, cooling options, and energy costs for renters in multifamily dwellings. Despite this overwhelming public support, the city appears to have listened to the few voices of Northwest Natural, large landlords, and multifamily housing owners associations and decided not to start phase one, but rather try a small, non-detailed pilot program utilizing PSEF funds. Many low-income and BIPOC folks were involved in organizing and generating comments on the build shift proposal. The city's Merton proposal was a very weak first step, limited to baseline data collection only on buildings of 20 to 50,000 square feet and for tenant education. Numerous cities have taken substantial, bold actions on building decarbonization policies and standards. The tenant notification timeline was far slower than what is needed and equitable for tenants to have critical information for informed decisions. Yet Portland was unwilling to move forward even on these baby steps. This year's report on the faltering progress of the climate emergency plan is beyond disappointing. Outside of PSEF, very little has been accomplished in terms of strong climate policies and initiatives for the level of emissions reductions and climate resiliency efforts needed for the challenges we face. If Portland, of all places, cannot demonstrate the requisite council leadership, what hope is there for the country and the world? I work daily with folks in Africa and Latin America whose inhabitants are being ravaged by climate chaos at levels far beyond what we're seeing here in the States. And we ask you to begin by reversing this decision and having the courage to do what is right, which is to complete phase one and move forward on the next phases of actually setting building decarbonization policies in a timely way to meet climate deadlines. We can't afford delays in reducing emissions or in climate justice actions to ensure health and climate resiliency. Act now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next individual, please, item 839.
Request of Joanne Reese to address council regarding temporary alternative shelter sites in Lentz neighborhood. Joanne is online.
Very good. Good morning, Joanne.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Joanne Lundstrong, Housing Team Volunteer, Safe Rest Village Reedway Community Advisory Committee meeting. No elected official wants to take a walk through the city-created Lentz humanitarian crisis. City-sanctioned blight and historic disinvestment impacting a diverse, housed and unhoused, poor, and working class community. A shed with a bed and one meal a day in a safe rest village where illegal activity is tolerated because contained in a struggling, resource-strained neighborhood is not strategic, innovative, nor humanitarian. Causes of deaths at the SRVs and allegations of serious misconduct therein are considered policy matters only between the city and its contractors. What happens in the SRV stays in the SRV. Referrals to SRVs are through unidentified nonprofits with houseless neighbors waiting to be found in between sweeps. Spillover from sweeps downtown and Central East Side and from SRV Reedway. Increased RV encampments, increased drug dealing, loose unsocialized dogs, blocked ADA access on safe routes to school, greenways, and transit centers, fires. Dubiously lower crime rates attributable to the hopelessness of reporting when there is no enforcement. Undelivered protections and benefits to immediate neighbors within the 1,000-foot perimeter. Clinton Triangle and Reedway are site managed by the same operator. What a difference neighborhood demographics make. Clinton Triangle in a more commercial neighborhood, Reedway very residential. Clinton Triangle with a comprehensive, inclusive GNA and a community oversight committee meeting twice a month, once on site. Reedway forced to accept a standardized GNA resembling a poorly run homeowners association with a 1-hour monthly Zoomed advisory committee meeting. Community guidelines so flexible as to cause confusion for guests, practitioners, and neighbors. Slow forthcoming wraparound services to Reedway guests. When access to recovery services and life skills training, such as renters' rights and responsibilities and responsible pet ownership, is optional, successful transition to housing seems less likely. Subsidized housing and second chance reentry work opportunities will not tolerate on-site and on-the-job drug use. The tolerant containment, very low barrier SRVs seem to have less successful housing retention rates. Hopefully, county purview will be more accountable, transparent, and humane, less paternalistic, and reflect better stewardship of public dollars. The goal of the SRVs was to provide stability through housing to vulnerable people on the road to recovery. Equity and forethought need to direct shelter placement considerations if SRVs are to go beyond tolerant containment. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Joanne. Appreciate it. Next individual, please, 840.
Request of Sue Vetrano to address council regarding stormwater rate increase. Sue is online.
Welcome.
Mayor, council members, my name is Sue Vetrano. I'm here today to complain about the recent 73% increase in stormwater fees for large residential properties. The old charge was $93.85 a quarter, the new $162.85 a quarter. I've raised several technical issues directly with the Water Bureau and administrative staff and want to present policy concerns to you today. The materials on the Water Bureau's website raise several questions. For example, the Bureau wants to, quote, recover costs in proportion to the demands various customer classes place on the system. If this is truly the objective of the city needs to look at the beneficiaries of their stormwater projects. For example, the big pipe never made it to much of the city, so in fairness, no property owners outside the actual reach of this work should have to pay for capital operation or maintenance. Second, in support of this astronomical rate increase, the Bureau conducted a rate analysis whose primary finding was, quote, current Bureau rates are among the highest surveyed, but rate increases of others surveyed are increasing faster. It appears the actual reason for the 73% increase has nothing to do with funding, but winning some imaginary competition for most aggressive billing practices. And additionally, the Bureau states that these changes will, quote, incentivize the development of smaller and more affordable homes and remove certain burdensome costs for our customers. When did it become Water Bureau practice to incentivize zoning policy? And what behavior is the city trying to elicit? Are large property owners encouraged to knock down existing homes and build a triplex? Finally, nowhere in the rate analysis is there a real-world evaluation showing that large properties are contributing more to the stormwater system than other property types. The Bureau fails to understand large properties usually cover less of the property with impermeable surfaces, allowing for more stormwater infiltration and less runoff. The city itself has made a major investment in these types of systems, green street stormwater catch basins. I strongly suggest the city rescind the recent stormwater rate changes I also believe the city should conduct a rate study based on the actual operations of the Bureau. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sue. Appreciate it. Next individual, please, 841.
Request of Nehemiah Vaughn to address council regarding camps on the sidewalk, accessibility, and traffic visibility. Nehemiah was going to join us online. I don't see them.
All right, then we'll go to 842, please.
Request of Abigail Ivy to address council regarding noise pollution from commercial sound system in Southeast Portland. Abigail is online.
Thank you. Welcome, Abigail.
Good morning, City Council members. My name is Abigail Ivy. I'm here today to discuss the music venue event hall at 14919 Southeast Stark Street, 107. I would like to begin by reading the City Code Title 18 so you can better understand why we are here today. It is the intent of City Council to minimize the exposure of citizens to the potential negative physiological and psychological effects of excessive noise and protect, promote, and preserve the public health, safety, and welfare. It is the intent of City Council to control the level of noise in a manner that promotes the use, value, enjoyment of property, conduct of business, and reduces unnecessary and excessive sound in the environment. My partner and I's dream was to own our own home. That dream came true for us on December 23rd, 2019, when we were handed the keys to our own home in Southeast Portland. We were overjoyed to grow food in our own raised beds, decorate our own home, and settle down to give back to our community. The next night, this dream was shattered when the walls and windows of our home began to shake and vibrate with so much intensity. We thought they were going to implode. When the walls and windows of our new home began to shake, we thought they were going to implode from the base of the commercial sound system from the music hall next door. Around 1 a.m., we called non-emergency to report the disturbance. When officers finally arrived, they said they were unable to assist due to the size of the gathering. They left and did not address the disturbance or the loud, intoxicated crowd. Every weekend, the commercial sound system of this event hall shakes our walls, windows rattle, the floors vibrate. This occurs starting at 6 p.m. until around 2 a.m. with no assistance from Portland Police or the Noise Control Office. I am here to advocate for myself, a disabled citizen, and my next door neighbor who is an elderly disabled veteran. In May of 2024, I found I could file a noise complaint online and started that process. Weekly, I have followed up with the Noise Control Office, but they have done nothing with my logs. It has been over 6 months. I'm doing everything they have requested. There have been no updates on this complaint. The Noise Control Office has even come out to this venue when they are playing and has witnessed the noise violation firsthand. This business profits from noise pollution and harassing my neighborhood until past 2 a.m. every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have gone door to door in our neighborhood, and there are many neighbors affected by the sound levels from this event hall. This is affecting my life, it is affecting my job and my health. I suffer from chronic migraines, which are a recognized disability, and the effects of this has put me in the emergency room twice in the last month due to the prolonged exposure due to loud vibrating sounds for hours on end. I truly hope that City Council can action on the statement that I have made here today. Thank you.
Thank you, and don't go away just yet. I think there's a couple of comments here. Commissioner Mapps.
Abigail, thank you so much for your testimony today, and I am sorry about your challenges here. I know you gave the address of the loud business. What's the name? But I think I missed it. I tried to put it into Google. What's the venue that's causing the problems?
It's called Fellowship and Event Hall.
Fellowship and Event Hall. I was hoping to refer you to our noise program because those are the folks who should be on the front lines here. It sounds like you have engaged with them. One of the things I might do is ask the deputy city administrator for that space, which I think is probably Donnie, to follow up and have the noise office, noise program get back to you. And I'll also say, colleagues, I'm sure we all hear complaints like this a fair bit. And I used to work adjacent to the noise program. Recently, I've noticed that our frontline staff in that program is particularly small, like maybe between 1 and 4 people, depending on what's happening in that space. I certainly hope that that's something which council looks at, frankly, in the new budget. But Abigail, to sum up, sorry for your challenges. We'll see if we can get someone from this city's noise program to get back to you. And I see Donnie making noise, moving around behind me. We'll try to get someone to come and engage with you on this promptly. And
And
it looks like we have maybe some action in the room.
we actually do have somebody here. Beth Benton is here from the Noise Control Office.
I've spoken at length with Beth and filed a lot of logs. She and I have had a lot of correspondence. She's been
good.
a
Okay.
great advocate for me. I'm not really sure where there has been some hiccups. I was told back in August that she was moving forward with a fine to the business. I was then notified by another gentleman last week that that fine never was brought forward. He decided that he was not going to move forward with that fine back in August. So the business was not fined in August for whatever reason. So I'm here today speaking to City Council because there's just been no progress. You know, I'm at a point where I'm having to seek legal representation for myself to try to get something to happen on a legal front, because I'm not getting anywhere with the noise control office. The Portland Police Bureau comes out, they tell me they can't do anything. And I certainly don't want to have to sell my home because I do love where I live. You know, I love my neighbors, I love the community, but I have chronic migraines and my doctor has informed me that this is one of the triggers that is causing the migraines.
Thank you for that. Beth, did you have anything to, it sounds like you're in communications, you're trying to
We
work
are,
through it.
and we have a staff of 1 inspector, 1 enforcement officer. So it becomes a partnership with the public, with Abigail, to do enforcement. So she has been great. She has provided us logs of event times and what she's experiencing, so we can have that evidence to take to hearing if we need to. I'm not sure what happened in August, but we have issued a citation not only to the property owner, but also the tenant. This is a rented commercial space. So you've got the property owner and then a tenant, and both of which are out of town. So we have,
When you say out of town, do you mean they are temporarily out of town or they don't
no,
live here?
they reside in other cities.
Okay,
They are not local to Portland.
all right.
But we have issued those citations. We will continue to issue citations, and they grow quite rapidly. After the first one, we did send them certified mail, so we should be getting those notifications back. I encourage Abigail to continue to send me the logs. We will use those as our evidence to continue escalating this enforcement. I have also mentioned this to the police, the NERC teams in that area, to please pay attention to what's going on the weekends and report that back to us for our file. And then I also know the OLCC has sent inspectors out to this site recently with a party that was taking place.
All right, good. Well, this is all good news in terms of the follow-up, and I appreciate it, Beth and Abigail. You sort of get a bonus today because the chief of police, Bob Day, happens to be here as well on another matter, so he's listening to this conversation as well. And I truly empathize with
Thank you.
the circumstances you're experiencing. Commissioner Mapps had another follow-up.
Sure. Well, I want to thank Beth for being here, and Abigail for bringing this up. I hope that the noise program and Abigail can stay engaged. And at a policy level, you know, I really appreciate Beth reminding us that we got 1 noise inspector for a city of 640,000 people. I don't know if my other colleagues have noticed the complaints and situations like Abigail's that come into your office. I certainly do, and have been down this road. And I think part of the challenge here is staffing, and some of it is perhaps non-compliant. property owners too. But something to, I think, lean into in the coming year.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks, Commissioner. Thank you. Abigail, thank you. Beth, thank you. Appreciate it very much. I understand
Thank you.
841 is back in the room. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right.
841, request of Nehemiah Vaughn to address council regarding camps on the sidewalk accessibility and traffic visibility.
Welcome.
You got any, Maya?
Nehemiah, you're muted.
There you go.
There we go.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. To the members, to the mayor and members of city council, Highway 30 going eastbound on 143rd Sandy Boulevard has become a very busy corridor. Garden Meadows Senior Community, Argate Community have recently experienced the loss of the pedestrian, sidewalk, bus stop, access to the fire pump for housing due to trailers, RVs, boats, stolen vehicles. What measures can be implemented for this concern? This is the third time we've experienced the takeover of the city sidewalks from 141st to 148th. Many seniors, pedestrians use this part of the corridor to travel. What measures can be implemented to help this part of Sandy Boulevard? Thank you for the no parking bus signage. Orange cones have showed up to divert the parking as this is a highway. 311 has taken many calls about the highway and how it affects our vision to merge eastbound to go westbound. The RVs block the oncoming view of traffic. Pedestrians have to walk on the north side of the white line. I've seen accidents due to citizens double parking, drug dealing, and stolen property for the past 2 months. Rapid Response did a great job cleaning up this stretch of Sandy Boulevard. Please consider how we can help this community and help those seniors who still work that use this bus stop.
Thank you. And if I could just make a couple of comments. First of all, thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing some of the images to make it clear. As you're well aware, this area is a hot spot. It's been an ongoing focus of our cleanup, our outreach, and our removal teams. I think we've done complete cleanups and removals of that area. Like, I don't know exactly, but it's probably like 3 times in the last 3 months.
Yes, that's correct.
It's also, as you know, it's a fairly complicated mix of both private and public property ownership and sidewalks. So that's been a little bit of a problem, but I think we've resolved some of those issues. We agree with you that while the tents have been removed, the RVs continue to be a significant issue in that area. That requires a little extra coordination and a little extra service delivery to address that, but we're in agreement with you on that. One of the areas where we see additional opportunities specifically for that location, 143rd and Sandy, is we've engaged what we call our Street Services Coordination Center and, of course, PBOT to look at potential hardening solutions for that area, physical barriers. And they are in active conversations right now, and you may even be involved in those discussions. I don't know if you are or aren't. But I know that there are some people in that immediate vicinity who are specifically involved with SSCC and PBOT in those hardening discussions. If you'd like, we can actually further reach out to you. We have a problem solver group that meets in that area. I think they meet every other week, if I remember correctly. If you'd like to be part of that group, we'd love to have you be engaged on that group. If you've got the time and the energy to do that, just let me know and we can outreach to you.
Yes, I would like to be a part of that, part of the Argate community, and just a representative for the senior community here at Garden Meadows, which is a lot of seniors that still work that they couldn't use that bus stop because of the concerns. So yes, I would be.
Oh, that's fantastic. I really appreciate it. And Sarah, can you make sure that we reach out? Great. Thank you for that. And Commissioner Ryan has a comment as well.
Mayor Wheeler, thank you for the dialogue you just had. That was helpful. I think we know this is a problem that's so chronic, especially in outer north and outer east Portland. And I know, Commissioner Maps, when you took over PBOT, there was a lot of steps in the right direction. We, for a few years, didn't do anything with vehicles, abandoned vehicles and RVs. And we have, the current solution is moving them 1 mile from where they were. And so it's not really working very well. So I just hope that we continue to problem solve what the policy is with that. And I hope that we continue to be transparent with the neighbors in outer east and outer north of Portland. The Delta Park area people could come and say the same thing, for example. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. I think I want to compliment PBOT for their engagement with the RV issue. I believe, although I'm not the expert in the room, that we probably have a more nuanced policy and set of solutions than just moving people 1 mile, although certainly it can happen in that particular situation. One of the things I might ask is that either Jackson from my staff or the Deputy City Administrator for Infrastructure send a memo out to council offices so that we all understand what our current towing policy is and what our current RV policies are.
This was the current one. I mean, all of us have been bird dogging things like this.
Yeah.
What I experienced with these constituent concerns is what I said, and then they come back very quickly. And so I just hope that we know that we have to keep improving our solution on this one.
Absolutely.
And I know that you inherited a really deep mess. And I also know from opening the first Safe for Us village for RVs, how complicated it is even to get them into those areas. And we're not the only city that's had to look at this. Many cities have just a designated area where they put them without much services.
Yeah.
So I just think we're at such a pinch point on this one. And it's at a point where we've got to come up with a better practice than the current one we have. I think we all know that.
I had a follow-up question. Just to clarify, so we updated code a few weeks ago, specifically addressed RVs. And where's the 1 mile coming from?
Here, Jackson, or let's see, Priya or Jackson, are either one of you ready to address that? I see Jackson on my team coming up. Come on up, Jackson, and tell us your name and then educate us.
I'm guessing it's Jackson.
Yeah, I can speak to this a little bit, not terribly
you?
deeply. Sorry, my name is Jackson Paul, a policy advisor for Commissioner Maps. So when we came into office initially, I think PBOT was operating under a much more narrow framework. This is really more along the lines of policy, or sort of internal policy rather than strictly written into code. So I think it was a few 100 feet. So vehicles move a few blocks, and we moved it up to 1 mile, looking to try to, I would say, keep those problems from becoming more deeply impacted into specific neighborhoods. So when we aren't able to legally tow a vehicle from Portland streets, it's not going to just cycle around the same neighborhood. Obviously, that doesn't immediately solve the problem. That is just one piece of the solution. So if you are having to move a vehicle 1 mile instead of a few 100 feet, that sort of shifts the cost-benefit analysis of then accepting what comes at every contact, which is an offer of service.
Jackson, can I ask a quick follow-up?
Of course, absolutely.
Do we have a strategy for actually removing RVs from the streets, especially if they're dangerous or unsafe?
Absolutely.
What's
yes.
that?
So one sort of subsection of the code updates, and I guess we can shift back a little bit. So before we brought the code updates to Title 16, one of the sort of key pieces of getting RV enforcement back on its feet was reestablishing our connection with Multnomah County that had been severed under previous PBOT leadership. And so what that led to was us reestablishing that connection and getting the county to start issuing something called a tag warrant again. And what that does is it allows PBOT to actually step forward and seize a vehicle rather than going through, step by step our initial process. It's essentially similar to if I broke the law and a warrant was issued for my arrest. It's very similar to that vehicle. So they have then the right to step forward and usually place an immobilizing device on that vehicle, typically a boot. And so reestablishing that program, there is a specific threshold that you have to meet in order to qualify for a tag warrant. And I believe And don't quote me specifically on the numbers. I believe it is 6 unaddressed citations and over $500 in unassessed fines.
Is that dictated by statute?
I believe that is county rule. I would look
I see
to
Mike
our,
Jordan nodding somehow.
Suggest that the county does this through vehicle registrations, and so that's state jurisdiction. The county may carry that out, but I suspect that it's through the vehicle registration.
So,
They tag it.
but whether the source is statute or Multnomah County's interpretation
I don't know
of
the answer to that specifically.
Got it. And so the reason that Multnomah County is the one that issues tags warrants is because they're responsible for registration in the region?
Yeah, so I'm really glad you brought that up. It's a very key issue. So for us here at the city, our ability to sort of remove folks' property and hold that is different. It's in a different process than specifically going through the courts. And so if you look to a lot of the data surrounding this, so when we were initially getting the tag warrant program set back up, you have a spreadsheet of all folks who specifically in the downtown area who would qualify. And one of you would call them sort of public enemy number one is an individual who obviously won't name, but is able to rack up over $10,000 in unaddressed fines because when you are retrieving property from the city, you cover the cost of the tow, you cover the admin fees, and that is all that is legally required for the city to then be required to release your vehicle to you. When you when you reintroduce the court system to that, now you are in front of a judge. Now you are contacting the court system. And so we'll use that same individual as a case study, towed very early under the new days of the tag warrant program, have to go out of pocket several $1,000s to get their vehicle back, and then on a payment plan for the rest of it. So does that answer your question? Or you want
I
to dig
think
a little
so,
bit
and and we probably can take this offline.
Of course.
It's just an excruciating process right now, and I am so appreciative of the work that you have done, Jackson, Commissioner Maps, to get us going in the right direction here. But I just the concept that we're still creating an avenue where people can just move down the road when they just give the finger to any sense of public decency or laws
absolutely.
in the city of Portland is painful to hear, and that we're dependent on the county for yet again something else that's so important to cleaning up our streets is its own a whole nother level of frustration.
And that is sort of also another way that you sort of bring the tag warrant program into this as well is when you do show up with a tag warrant, that 1 mile is no longer an issue. When you say, I am here with a warrant for the vehicle, there is not an option to then drive away. And so in our sort of vision, this is also about consistency and enforcement. Because I think we've all heard from members of the public saying, I got a ticket for parking illegally,
Right.
but there's an RV across the street that's not getting tickets. And so re-incentivizing parking enforcement to say, no, we're ticketing across the board. We are ticketing for everything. And that can also be an avenue to say that is also how we get these vehicles off the street. And when you show up with a tag warrant for a vehicle saying we are, removing this vehicle from the streets today, but we're not coming empty-handed. We have a bed for you in a Safe Rest Village. We have a bed for you in a task site, and we're going to connect you with services.
And go ahead, Commissioner.
Commissioner Ryan?
First of all, thank you, Jackson.
Of
And I know
course.
you were just here on this policy. I'm glad we're finally engaging with it. I kind of felt like the lone voice last time you were here with that policy. And I think you were out of town. You were on the trip. But let's take a little bit of time for this one, because here's a couple more questions. First of all, Peabot, thank you. You're doing outreach work. And when I asked in the budget last year that we could start tracking the expense that each bureau faces as we deal with our humanitarian crisis, I meant it. I hope to get that data soon.
Yeah, of course.
This is a prime example of that. So then I want to follow up with questions like, where's the joint office, the so-called joint office outreach workers when it comes to this system?
So that is a good question, and I'm not sure that's one that I am equipped to answer.
That's okay,
in this
and it
moment.
could be no, they're not there. They're missing in action.
So I think
that's fascinating. So my point is we have this thing called service resistance that seems
Absolutely.
to be an accepted thing. And we know that if we're going to be real leaders right now, we have to get to the bottom of service resistance. And so I wonder how many are service resistant.
Well, that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really good point, because you can kind of view the populations of unsheltered folks on the street in very different sort of categories. Folks that live in RVs tend to be, I would say, higher on that service resistance scale for obvious reasons.
Because they have a bricks and mortar system that is a part of the underground criminality that's going on. Everyone knows that. That's not all of them, but it is many.
Of course.
And so we're not getting to the bottom of it. So when we've advocated, like all of us have, they move a mile, they come back a few days, and all of that criminality comes back. We've lost a couple businesses over this, more than a couple. And so I'm glad that we're spending a little bit more time on this issue. And I hope, again, this is something that when we talk about what's the roles and responsibilities of our first response when it comes to our humanitarian crisis, we have more clarity between what does the city do, what does the county do. This isn't about pointing fingers, it's about getting our job done.
Oh, of course, yeah, and if I can jump in and sort of shine a light on a response that I highlighted during when the Title 16 item came to council, and that was specifically the response on Northeast 33rd Drive. I think I like to hold that up as pretty much the gold standard for how we engage here. We have folks on the ground beforehand offering shelter, letting them know, hey, this response is coming. On the day of, we have outreach workers there with the NERT team, so neighborhood response team, folks who know that area very well. And I think on that day, we were able to get 40 or 50 people to accept referrals to shelter, get them into task sites, get them into SRVs. And so to your point, and I think Commissioner Mapps has mentioned this quite a few times during the conversations for the joint office, is exactly what you're getting to, is the city had all of that, all or most of that response in-house. Does that need to be the case? And certainly that's for policy folks to opine on. And in my position as a policy advisor, I would say certainly not. There's plenty of that response that by its very nature should live with Multnomah County. And the city has done a fantastic job of setting up those services over the last several years, but at great personal
Can't
cost.
do it alone. And is the person at the city with the most lived experience managing this very tough work, Lucas Hilliard, is he part of your team?
So Lucas is with IRP.
I know.
And so
I don't care.
Yeah, oh, very much so.
If you haven't noticed, I like to break down silos.
Oh, of course, absolutely, and I appreciate that. So Lucas and his team definitely very much involved, and especially in that response, very much involved. And I think that's also part of the conversation going forward, is the response to lived-in RVs is something that we'll say, I'll pick my words very carefully, but that was something that came into PBOT's sphere of responsibility over the course of the pandemic more so than I think reasonably should be.
Which is why I want to track that budget.
Of course. And so at around $87 per linear foot, and removing 40 to 60 RVs a month, given our current capacity, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Each month, usually about $100,000 to $150,000 a month, given our current capacity. And so that's every year, it's millions of dollars in unsecured costs against the Bureau. And personally, our conversations have been trying to steer towards where should that service lie. And I think there's a great argument to be made that the response to lived-in RVs should be a part of the city's overall homelessness response system, drawing from those resources rather than drawing from the general fund.
It was protected by previous PBOT commissioners, and again, because Commissioner Mapp's leadership, it's moving, the soil's loosening, and we just have to now keep taking more steps.
It's going to take a lot of work, and I think
again, we had this conversation 2 weeks ago, but I think it's way more robust today. I think it got more real. Thank you, Mr. Vaughn, for coming and waking us up to continue to focus on one of the big concerns in our community of livability concerns. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jackson.
Yeah, real quickly, Mr. Mayor, I recognize we need to move on, but before we go, I want to thank my dialogues for that, my colleagues for that dialogue. I want to thank Jackson for his tireless work in this policy area. And obviously, I think we've hit upon an important policy question, which still needs more attention from council. So I might ask Mike, what's the approach in the new form of government or our current form of government? How do we follow up on this conversation and move this forward? I don't know if this is a Mike question or a Priya question. It kind of seems like it straddles both of your portfolios.
Well, I think Jackson has touched on one of the major issues, and that is we're currently putting most of this burden on PBOT. And it's probably inappropriately there from a previous evolution. Not that they don't have a role to play, but this is really more about unhoused individuals than it is, and they happen to be in a derelict RV and causing a real problem in a neighborhood. So it's a broader issue than just PBOT. So there's both a policy issue and a budget issue. And we should be bringing something to you for the next budget regarding how we can better align. I'm not saying we will ever have enough money to chase this problem forever by ourselves, but it's a combination of the policy issue, your issue about where's the authority to deal with these issues. I think the tag issue is about registration, which is a state requirement. So it's a combination of things, just like all the other issues we're facing with the houseless crisis in the city. But we have, your word, Jackson, evolved to a place where the burden has maybe inappropriately fallen on PBOT. And so we need to make some adjustments and bring you some changes.
Great. So the next time we'll see that, it sounds like it's probably in the
budget
process. It's in the budget
probably,
process.
yeah.
Okay, great.
Great, Commissioner Gonzalez.
So, and I appreciate the dialogue about the disproportionate impact on PBOT. That's an operational piece, though, at some level, and I think it's valid. There's a budgetary component I totally follow. I just want to be crystal clear. Is there policy barriers that this council can address to more forcefully drive these folks into shelter and accepting what we offer, or driving them the hell out of the city of Portland? And it's because it is irresponsible that we have tolerated this repeat behavior from the same people over and over again. So I guess that's the question. The 1 mile, is that something we can address as council, or is there other tools we can give to PBOT and the police to very directly drive more healthy behaviors, accept our offers of shelter, or go someplace else?
Yeah, so the 1 mile is absolutely something that can be addressed by, well, I guess since that no longer lives with council proper, that'd be a conversation between this council and the city administrative structure. And say something that I'm working on right now, it's not necessarily my direct forte, is digging through the data from tows. And I think I mentioned this when we last came to council, from the last several years, just sort of understanding where these vehicles are coming from. Because at the rate that we're removing these vehicles, and I track this data pretty closely, over the last 2 years, so basically from the time Commissioner Mapps came on in charge of PBOT, we're towing more RVs now than we ever have.
Right.
But the number on the street and how we talked about, I think, perception and the feeling of safety during the conversation yesterday with the joint office is we are not seeing a commensurate decline in the number of RVs and reports of RVs on Portland streets, which indicates to me from a policy position that we have an inflow of these vehicles that are either from residents in the city of Portland or from surrounding jurisdictions. And I think that is where the city can then start to apply some pressure. Because if these vehicles are entering Portland from outside jurisdictions, one element of Title 16, the updates that we brought to council, allows us to go after the last registered owner of these vehicles. So if they are dumping, dead stock onto Portland streets, we're now going to be going after them for the costs that we incur in actually taking these vehicles off the street. But in terms of how can we apply more pressure, we are bound by the law. There is a certain amount of legal process that you have to go through before you remove someone's property. And if someone is the registered and legal owner of an RV, we have to go through the proper process, which is why reestablishing the tag warrant program and starting to, say, aggressively ticket for violations that we see, and starting a full enforcement push, bringing on 22 new parking enforcement staff and starting an enforcement push across the entire city, not just in the meter districts, is exactly how we get there. But again, 22 bodies is not, that's not a light switch. You don't make that change overnight. And so you have, I think, the rules in place, the staffing model is moving in the right direction, and now it is just about doing the work.
Great. If I could get 1 minute on this, and we do have to move on. And colleagues, there's a lot of interest here. I would propose that there be briefings for each of the council offices. Obviously, Hank from my team is working very closely with you, Jackson and Peabot. This is a very complicated issue, and I'm sitting here sort of reminiscing about how many of these conversations I've had over 8 years. And actually, it started with Commissioner Dan Saltzman almost 8 years ago, when we started seeing an influx of these vehicles. And it's very difficult because you have constitutional issues. You have issues with regard to hazmat. A number of these vehicles are meth labs, and they need to be disposed of properly. You also have chain of ownership issues related to these vehicles, and prior councils have in fact tried to close some of the gaps around the circumstances of these vehicles when they are transferred from one owner to another. We have gone to Salem, and we have changed state statute with regard to these vehicles in the past. And of course, the chief knows here that his folks have been involved in various enforcement issues related to RVs for a long, long time, and we'd all like it to just stop.
They've been fantastic.
So I think this is an issue where, Commissioner Mapps, thank you, Jackson, Hank from my team, you're probably out there listening somewhere. Yes, we need to keep working and pushing hard, and I look forward to seeing more enforcement and fewer of these RVs.
Mayor Wheeler, can we overlay the daytime camping ban coupled with the rewrite to Measure 110 that allows us to arrest people for open air drug use? I don't see these as anything different than a tent. They're not residencies.
Under state statute, unfortunately,
they are different. They're
residencies when they're illegally parked on a street.
As it could get.
Sometimes you just gotta, lead with common sense and ask for forgiveness from the state later, perhaps. That's my view.
I hear you. Yeah, and so we'll definitely work on getting briefings together, or possibly if we have a work session.
Since the chief is here, I want to clarify, I will absolutely abide by the law at all times.
Absolutely.
And Jackson, when you're briefing, this 1 mile thing, I think I follow what you're saying. Of
course.
But I want to be crystal clear. Is that essentially an administrative decision that on the 1 mile? And if so, I think we really need to rethink that. And tying it to the offers of services, I mean, at some point, enough is enough. It's a sidewalk, and it's the city of Portland. You're not allowed to park there, period. And we have to recalibrate the expectations in our community. So I don't know if that's an administrative interpretation at this point, or we're tying that to some language in our city code, or we're tying that to something in state law. But at some point, we got to decouple these two things.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm happy to have additional conversations with you.
Thanks, Jackson. We got to move on. To the consent agenda, has any item been pulled?
No.
Call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
I enthusiastically support it. I vote aye. The consent agenda is adopted. First time certain item, please. And item 843.
Accept 2023 Annual Cannabis Policy Report by the Cannabis Policy Oversight Team.
As you heard, this is a report. I'll turn it over to Donnie Oliveira, DCA for Community and Economic Development, to kick us off. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor. Thank you. Donnie Oliveira for the record. Good morning, Council. This item is to accept the 2023 Annual Cannabis Policy Report from the Cannabis Policy Oversight Team. Housed within Portland Permitting Development, the Cannabis Program oversees the work of the Cannabis Policy Oversight Team, CPOT, a public advisory body that provides recommendations on cannabis policy. With the onset of legalization in 2015, Portland became the only jurisdiction in Oregon to adopt their own regulations and licensing program. The oversight team has been established to allow community and cannabis advocates to engage with local regulatory agencies as a way to improve community engagement and respond to calls to action to improve conditions in the industry and impacts of our cannabis in our communities. There are many ongoing challenges in the local market, including but not limited to low prices, persistent safety issues, and a lack of access to services afforded to other legal businesses. Local businesses, especially smaller operators, are particularly stressed about license fee increases, tight margins, and public safety.
So I'm sorry, is this supposed to be changing, or is this all the introduction?
This is just me.
Okay,
just
great.
teeing up,
I
yeah.
just wanted to make sure that we weren't missing out on
Yeah,
something.
nope. And so I'm going to turn over to the staff to lead the presentation. We have Cannabis and Liquor Programs Manager Christina Corsi and Phil Keem, Cannabis Program Policy Coordinator. They're going to walk through the report.
Perfect, thanks.
Good morning, Mayor Wheeler, Commissioners, and Mr. Jordan. For the record, my name is Christina Corsi, and I am the Cannabis and Liquor Program Manager with Portland Permitting and Development. I'm here today with my colleague Phil Keim, Cannabis Policy Coordinator, to present the 2023 Annual Cannabis Policy Report drafted by the Cannabis Policy Oversight Team. Next slide, please. The 2023 Annual Cannabis Policy Report serves as a vital instrument for policymakers, offering a detailed overview of the industry's dynamics, particularly focusing on the issues of equity, public safety, and economic viability. At its core, the report is a call to action for the City of Portland and its stakeholders, emphasizing the need to address systemic inequities and to foster a cannabis industry that is equitable, safe, and sustainable. The full policy report boasts a total of 9 recommendations. However, in the interest of time, we will only be reporting on the top 3 that the advisory body chose to highlight. These recommendations being presented focus the priorities identified by our safety, local business, and community impact subcommittees. Next slide, please. The Cannabis Policy Oversight Team is a public advisory body made up of a diverse group of volunteers consisting of public health advocates, cannabis industry representatives and advocates, legal representatives, and community members that provide recommendations on cannabis policy. The advisory body created 3 subcommittees which focused on priority issues of community impact, local business, and cannabis safety. These subcommittees hosted guest appearances from researchers, law enforcement officials, experts in public safety, advocates for youth, and cannabis industry workers. These groups brainstormed, conducted research, and asked the questions that led to the creation of the recommendations contained in this annual report. For this report, CPOD adopted the equity-centered framework for measuring policy impact developed by the Cannabis Health Equity Movement. CHEM states that social ecosystems create and sustain healthy people, communities, and society by optimizing the 4 detriments of well-being, which fall into the following categories: economic, environmental, human, and social equity. Next slide, please. The top recommendation from the Safety Subcommittee is to create a pilot grant program funded from recreational cannabis tax that incentivizes adopting proactive video monitoring security systems at cannabis businesses. This pilot program would prioritize neighborhoods with the highest concentration of crime rates, and the data and insights gained from the pilot would be used for informed policy decisions. During the Safety Subcommittee meetings last year, we heard from PBB, local business owners, and security experts who all feel frustrated for the threat to employees' physical safety and overall public safety in the city. While we acknowledge the criminals target all kinds of businesses, the unique cash-based structure coupled with product causes cannabis businesses to be particularly vulnerable. In our meetings, we discussed a layered approach to public safety that provides more protection and possible solutions, creating a collaboration amongst public safety professionals to address crime. PVM actively analyzes real-time video feeds, automatically alerting to potential threats and serving as a proactive deterrent, which a third party performs this monitoring and is not a function of the police. Since PVM is an advanced system, it carries higher implementation costs than traditional CCTV systems. To support struggling cannabis businesses in Portland and bolster the safety and security of the entire community, financial support is needed for businesses to adopt PVM solutions. Such a program would not only safeguard monitored areas, but also expedite the apprehension of offenders, thus proving invaluable in the fight to curb crime targeting cannabis establishments and other businesses in Portland. Next slide, please. This graph shown was obtained from a comprehensive report commissioned by CPOT from the Portland Police Bureau. This is showing burglary, robbery, and vandalism trends for cannabis businesses from 2016 to June 2023. It is apparent the spike in criminal activity since 2020. Data in the PBB report show at least 537 reported incidences since 2020. Further data obtained from the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission indicate another 85 incidences between July 2023 and September 2024. Portland accounts for 69.7% of all crimes against cannabis businesses statewide.
One thing to note as time progresses, these criminals are getting more brazen, and the consequences for our Portland businesses are becoming more severe. The latest armed robbery just last week at a St. John's location took the life of 2 people. Whether it be a PVM pilot program or something else, safety is an issue for our businesses and its workers and must be addressed. Next slide, please.
Good morning, Council. Phil Keim, Policy Coordinator with the Cannabis Program. The second recommendation we want to lift up comes from the Local Business Subcommittee and ask the Cannabis Program to advocate for legislative priority through our work with the Office of Government Relations that advances the creation of a new license type for cannabis businesses that permits the sale of cannabis at an outdoor event and allows consumption of cannabis on site. So what we're talking about here is referred to as social consumption or cannabis hospitality. And to be clear, we're not advocating for public consumption of cannabis. It remains unlawful to smoke or vape on a sidewalk, at a park, or anywhere else in public view. Rather, we seek to get Portland up to speed with other places that have embraced the regulation of private consumption spaces, like at California's State Fair, which drew over 100,000 visitors this summer, or various hospitality businesses in West Hollywood, Denver, Las Vegas, and other cities that draw locals and tourists to consume with their friends in a safe and regulated environment. In Oregon, consumption of cannabis is only legal in the privacy of one's home. It's not legal to consume in public view, and landlords and property management companies can and do prohibit cannabis use by renters. CPOT references a report from the Portland Housing Bureau and highlights that nearly 47% of Portlanders are renters, and of those renters, more than 70% of Black and Hawaiian Pacific Islander residents and 60% of Latinx and Native American residents are renters. So while in the past, cannabis prohibition resulted in higher arrest and imprisonment rates for communities of color, those same communities continue to feel disproportionate discrimination in a legal, regulated environment. And in the past, the city's issued testimony in support of bills down in Salem that would have created consumption lounges or indoor spaces that allow for adults to purchase and consume cannabis. But this recommendation from this last year's report recognizes that legislative history and the challenge to amend the Indoor Clean Air Act, and instead requests that we work with policymakers to advocate for permits administered by local governments to regulate the safe and legal consumption of cannabis at private outdoor events. And I know a letter has been submitted on this agenda item supporting this idea, but advocating for brick and mortar indoor consumption spaces. But whether indoor or outdoor licenses or permits become a reality, we stand ready to partner with stakeholders to create fair regulations for these environments. Next slide, please. The last recommendation I'll emphasize is the second recommendation from the Community Impacts Subcommittee, which asked the City of Portland to retain its current level of funding for economic equity investments and increase transparency of how cannabis tax dollars received from the state of Oregon are allocated. At the city, we demonstrate our commitment to furthering economic equity by how we allocate the 3% local tax on cannabis products. Those funds support programs at Portland Housing Bureau, at the Portland Bureau of Transportation, and Portland Street Response. Additionally, Prosper Portland receives local cannabis tax revenue that's used in several projects that advance economic equity. And the city is experiencing a shortfall in expected cannabis tax revenue. Last year, the city budget office shared that a decline in recreational cannabis tax funds would result in a 5% cut to all bureaus or programs receiving funding. CPOT recommended that when making budget decisions, the city should change course from enacting equal budget cuts to all bureaus receiving cannabis tax dollars and instead emphasize the importance of economic equity investments by keeping allocations at or above current service levels. And CPOT further recommended in this recommendation, accounting in the city's annual budget, what bureaus or programs we fund using state cannabis tax revenues, and request we collaborate with state policymakers, trade organizations, the OLCC, and our federal delegation to champion economic equity policies at the state and federal level. And last slide, please. So the 3 problems and proposed solutions we just shared were voted by the current CPOT members as the most important issues to emphasize during this presentation, but I'd encourage anyone to read the entire report, which is linked in this agenda item and on our website. As we've worked to understand how our program fits in at PP&D and our service area and how CPOT operates, And we recognize how our city government is continuing to evolve to meet the expectations of voters who passed charter reform. So too should CPOT evolve, and so to that end, we look forward to returning in council next year to share the results of an ongoing community engagement activity and plan to relaunch a cannabis advisory body that's effective, has clear responsibilities, and prioritizes commitments to public health, safety, environmental, and economic sustainability for the cannabis industry. And the last and most important thing I want to emphasize here is my appreciation for all the volunteers, CPOT voting members, and people who showed up to subcommittee meetings, contributing countless hours to the work here that created this annual report. And thank you again for the time to present today. We look forward to continuing to work collaboratively with our community partners to strengthen our cannabis advisory body's impact with our new form of government next year and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, good. Do we have any public testimony?
We do. We have one person signed
All right,
up.
let's hear them. And Chief, we're moving yours next.
Jake Granger.
Welcome, Jake.
Looks like they're getting reconnected.
Okay. And
Jake, you're
then we have some questions for you guys.
Hello, am I there?
Jake,
Can you hear
we
me?
hear you loud and clear. Welcome.
Awesome, thanks for having me. I'm here to just point out some stuff that was already mentioned in that previous presentation, specifically about transparency and accountability and how some of these funds are spent in some of these nonprofits that are appointed these funds. I think that specifically in a couple of these nonprofits, there's rampant corruption. In what world does it make sense to have a cannabis business owner in charge of a nonprofit dictating where these cannabis funds are being sent? I think that's a direct conflict of interest, and any cannabis owner who owns a dispensary or a farm or any OLCC licensed business should not be in direct charge of how these funds are dictated to these cannabis businesses. And it seems like with some of these nonprofits, specifically New Leaf Project or New Project, or however it is, it seems like there's a direct connection to people who own cannabis businesses and then the people who dictate the funds and how they're spent. And there's very little to no accountability or transparency to how this money is allocated, if it's benefiting their own interest, if they're taking exorbitant salaries off the top before any of this money is allocated to any people of need. I think that there just needs to be a lot more transparency and accountability. And if, there is some corruption, some steps need to be, someone needs to step in and take some action. I own a cannabis business. I spend $20,000 to $25,000, sometimes $30,000 a month in taxes. And it kind of hurts my soul to give this money away every month and then to just see it be spent with greed and envy and corruption. And even with some of these other nonprofits, I believe the Reimagine Oregon grant just awarded millions of dollars to different people, and not one business was any sort of cannabis business. It all went to non-cannabis stuff. And I believe that's due to some sort of laws and other weird loopholes they have to follow. But I think it's mind-boggling that we're funding these programs and none of the cannabis businesses are seeing a dime of it. And if they're supposed to be seeing it, it's somebody who has their own cannabis business and their own vested interests.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate your being here. A couple of comments, Commissioner Maps and Commissioner Ryan.
Sure. I think I have a couple of quick questions for staff. Why don't we start with the the safety piece here, the PVM program. What is the plan for implementing that or moving forward with the recommendations there? I'll tell you, I think legalization of cannabis has largely been successful, except around safety issues. And we see this in your crime data. I believe in the last couple of days, we also had sort of a tragic pair of shootings, perhaps, around a cannabis business. So this is a space where we need to get much, much better. And one of the things I hope this report will spur us to do is to make some changes in this area. So what is the plan for implementing PBM or?
So currently, there is not a plan. This was just a recommendation to move forward with it. So what we would have to do is develop some type of plan. Of course, we would need to be allocated some cannabis tax revenue from the Recreational Cannabis Tax Fund in order to move forward with this type of pilot program. So very early conversations, but would love to have further conversations if there's an interest for that.
Who's the policymaker that says, go forth and figure this out?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Donnie Oliveira, for the record. Commissioner, assuming this council adopts this report, we would take the findings and the recommendations and start to evaluate the next steps for planning, looking at next budget cycle for a place to advocate and allocate resources. So it would be a part of the next budget request.
Excellent. Well, Donnie and friends, I very much encourage you to explore moving forward with a proposal for the budget around PVM and other security programs. On the other hand, I appreciate the good work that's gone into this space. I'll just be transparent, and I'm just speaking for myself right now, and I haven't been fully briefed up or whatnot. I am less sold on the social consumption of cannabis. I have certainly met with, in the past, I've met with folks from the cannabis industry who've made this pitch to me. I kind of get it, but given all the other social challenges that we have out there right now, I'm not sure if this is the experiment I want to try. So I hope there's further council level conversation around that particular proposal. And finally, one of the things that it wasn't really clearly addressed in your report, but I'm sure curious about, and I think it holds important lessons, is I think this is one of our first reports since the cannabis program has moved into BDS, and or maybe not. Is it the second one?
Sort of. Yes to both.
I'm just kind of curious, and there's really not a sharp, there's not a hook here. How is that going? I mean, I was very much in civic life when the cannabis program was in civic life. Not sure if that was the best home for it. I can see the logic for BDS, and it also, I don't have a whole lot of intuition. Any lessons learned or thoughts about the current home for the program?
Yes. In full transparency,
Sure.
I do not believe that the cannabis program belongs at permitting and development. I wish there would have been further conversations in the very beginning, talking to staff, saying, what we actually did in the program, what we wished we could go forward with, and then decide a proper spot for us.
So where are the friction points with the cannabis program being in BDS?
I will say that there is a ton of transition, not only citywide, but also with BDS. We've had director turnover, and then so there's getting acclimated to that. We also just transitioned into PP&D. I would like to have further conversations with leadership and get more notice for our program, because we do a lot of good work.
Sure. Absolutely. Certainly, if you take a look at this movement nationwide, I think Portland has been a leader in standing up these programs. Very proud of the work that you've done. I appreciate your transparency. I hope you didn't get you in trouble here by asking that question. That was not my intent. But as we go about reimagining our org chart and our business processes, I think kind of checking in to see how our restructuring is going makes a lot of sense. I'll encourage folks who are in the building a year from now to continue to look at this. I will certainly vote for this this report. And Mr. Mayor, that's all I got, so I can shut up now.
Thank you, Commissioner Mapps. Good questions, Commissioner Ryan.
Yes, thanks. First of all, thank you, Christina and Phil and Donnie. And the testimony from Jake Granger was really wonderful. Thank you for coming, Jake. I've heard your voice from other small business owners, so you were representing, I think, a lot of voices out there in the community. Could you go back to that robbery slide? I don't know if I looked at it right. Or the crime statistics.
Slide 3.
Yeah, we'll pull it up.
Or
And,
4.
and all of that was half a year data in this year?
No, so that slide was depicted from data that was obtained between 2016 and June of 2023.
Right, that one. Oh, you went, there it is. All right, so the first one, it says half year in 2023.
Yes, because it was
And
only
in
collected
robbery,
through
is
June
that-
of 2023.
What's that?
It was only collected through June of 2023.
Oh.
That's why it says half year, because it was just
Okay,
half
got
of
it.
2023.
So that's why robbery is most concerning, because if that's just half a year and yet it's higher than the total years previous.
Correct.
So it's just a fascinating trend that I'm sure law enforcement is well aware of. Some of them are here in the audience. So in the other areas, destruction of property is going somewhat down, but robbery has gone up. And that's another thing I've heard from people in small businesses. So I'm glad that we're just highlighting that big concern. How many small business owners are on the current committee that you speak of? What's the percentage? I was going to ask that even before Jake came to testify.
On the current committee, I'm not sure the exact percentage. I know we've got a couple small business owners that are coming to mind right off the top.
And how many are on the committee?
Got 11 people.
So they represent a small percentage?
Yes. We started out as 14, but we're currently at 11.
I think my feedback would be that's odd that they're not a higher percentage. I think when you have a higher percentage of people actually receiving the grants, that's always a checks and balance concern of mine in general. When you have people there that are receiving the funds, it just lacks that type of accountability. And they're there because we want to build a robust microeconomy that's taken off. And so I just wanted to make sure that I lifted that. And
Right.
I hope that we see a trend that starts to add more of them to that committee.
Currently, there are no cannabis businesses that are receiving grants. In fiscal year 21-22 and 22-23, we had cannabis emergency relief funds, but we have not been allocated those funds ever since.
Well, they're paying the tax, and that's one of their biggest complaints because they're taxed more than someone that owns a similar business in other parts of the state. So they're taxed, like all of our businesses, they complain they're overtaxed and they receive less services. And every resident that's listening as well. So they're upset about that. So I think they'd like more voice at the table, irregardless. That's what I'm trying to get at.
So any nonprofits that are receiving any cannabis tax recreation fund is through Prosper Portland.
Who gets the money from this?
Correct.
Okay. I think we'll have to just have a good conversation about how to rethink some of these investments because it's a strong voice. I'm sure as we move forward, they'll be lobbying you even further. I don't think the person who testified is a lone voice. I think it's a very common voice out there.
Yes.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez.
I'm just going to build off that last question. So the nonprofits that are receiving funds that he was alluding to are coming through, getting it via Prosper Portland, but that's the product of cannabis tax dollars that are getting allocated to Prosper?
Yes.
So if it's okay, Sarah Morseed, are you available for a follow-up question on this? The question, just to preview it, is the current allocation of cannabis tax revenue in our existing budget. And I'm looking at 607145, which is what our code says how this is going to be distributed. It's got 3 buckets: drug and alcohol education and treatment programs, public safety, and support for neighborhood small businesses. That's what our code says in terms of the distribution of, yeah, go ahead.
So thanks, Commissioner Gonzalez. Sarah Morrissey for the record. So for 2024-25, we had cannabis funds being allocated to 4 different buckets. So we had transportation, so that was Vision Zero, traffic safety, that was 1.3 million. We had housing for drug alcohol treatment, that was 263,000. Portland Fire and Rescue for PSR, that was 564,000. And then Prosper Portland, which has multiple programs, including the grant programs that were spoken about earlier, 4.4 million.
What was it? Say that one more. That was
So it's 4,421,129.
that went to Prosper.
Correct.
Okay. I think at some point we need to take a look at what code says and how we're allocating these dollars, what was the original intent versus what's actually happening. I'm glad that PSR got dollars, but when you look at public safety, the buckets that are mentioned there, they're pretty specific: firefighters and paramedics, police, Dewey, and training and enforcement. And I'm not seeing those dollars flow that way. And it seems like that's been going on for a while. So And the third bucket, support for neighborhood and small businesses, I think maybe that was original intent of sending things to prosper, and then that's how it would flow out. But I don't see nonprofits specifically listed there. So I'm, I guess I'm just observing that our code and our budgeting practices may not be aligned in this area.
Received, and we'll make sure to coordinate with the budget office on discussing this for the future fiscal as well.
I guess the only other area of follow-up, so safe consumption spots, it's not what we're calling this. We're talking about permitting a socialized, what was the term you're using for it?
Social consumption or
Social consumption. So we're thinking Amsterdam cafes.
that's one model.
Is there an alternative model you're thinking of?
In this report, they were calling for permitting of events.
Okay.
Where, you have like an area at an outdoor event where there's alcohol sales and consumption. Community members feel that there should also be a place for cannabis users to safely consume, much in the same way as alcohol users have a roped off area where they buy products and consume. That's the idea behind that recommendation.
So I think this is a conversation for another day. I think it's an interesting idea. I think I will say, we as a community have heavily regulated the smoking of cigarettes in shared social spaces. And to take a different tack with cannabis, I'd want to just really think about that a little bit, especially in public events where, some people may choose to engage in that. Other people don't want to breathe it. And if they have their kids there, they certainly, so it has an externality that's different than alcohol that I just want to be very clear about. And it's a raw time in the city's history on this type of experimentation after the failures of Measure 110. I want to acknowledge that rawness, but also recognize that there may be a way to do this in a responsible way. And so I'm just speaking as one voice up here. I think it's
Is it for another day, or are we doing this now?
I just am mostly observe. I just wanted to put that on the record. I'm going to vote to accept the report. I appreciate the dialogue on it, but I just want to acknowledge that reality. That it is a raw time for our community on innovation in this type of area, but yet I've seen other parts of the world do it responsibly, and so I'm acknowledging those two dynamics, and I think I'm done at this point.
Thank you. Do we have public testimony?
No, we already did it.
Commissioner Gonzalez, do you want to make a motion?
I so move.
Gonzalez moves the report. Can I get a second?
Second.
Commissioner Ryan seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Maps.
Want to thank the committee for this report. Really appreciate the dialogue with staff. I think it's particularly important that the city follow up with the safety elements in this report. I share some of Commissioner Gonzalez's reservations around the social consumption recommendations, but glad to have these ideas on the table. I vote aye.
Rubio.
I'd like to thank the oversight team and the subcommittee for the report and all their work. I'll be interested in following next steps and see how we can stabilize the industry. I vote aye.
Ryan.
Yeah, thanks again, Christina, Phil, and Donnie for the presentation and actually for waking us up on the bigger ecosystem here. It looks like we'll have some robust conversations. I totally wanted to do some rebuttal to my colleague to the right. I just will say this has been our #1 cash crop for decades. As somebody that likes revenue, I've always thought it was good to lean into this and figure out how to keep being sensible as we move forward. I think that what you brought today in this report was honest and true, and I'm glad that we also had some nuanced dialogue around this. So thank you so much. I look forward to more robust conversations as we move forward. I vote aye.
Gonzalez.
Did you just call me your colleague to the right?
Yeah.
You are.
I vote aye.
Wheeler.
I also vote aye. The report's accepted. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
We're going to move item 864 next. 864 is an emergency ordinance.
864?
864.
pay settlement of Christina and Jason Norris bodily injury lawsuit for $500,000 involving the Portland Police Bureau.
This ordinance settles a bodily injury lawsuit brought by Christina and Jason Norris, resulting from an encounter with one of the Portland Police Bureau's canine dogs. Good morning. Jonas, are you starting on this?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. Jonas Beery, the Deputy City Administrator of Budget and Finance and the city's Chief Financial Officer. Christina and Jason Norris, through attorneys Gloria Traynor and Kristen McCall, have filed a lawsuit against the city for injuries resulting from an encounter with a Portland Police canine dog on March 12th, 2021. City Attorney's Office, Risk Management Services, and the Portland Police Bureau recommend that the lawsuit be compromised for the total sum of $500,000. Mike Porter and Caroline Turco with the City Attorney's Office will tell you a little bit more about the settlement.
I'll defer to the chief, just briefly.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. I've sat here many times and spoken highly and appreciative of the good work of the Police Bureau. It was also important for me to be here to accept responsibility for when we fall short, and that's what we're going to do this morning. So I've asked Deputy City Attorney Mike Porter to make a few comments. Acting Captain Foxworth is going to outline where we've been since 21 and the steps we've taken to hopefully prevent anything like this in the future, and then I'll have some closing remarks. So, Mike.
Thank you, Chief. And thank you, Deputy City Administrator. Good morning. Michael Porter with the City Attorney's Office with my colleague Caroline Turco. Here today to present on a proposed settlement in a matter involving the Portland Police Bureau's K-9 unit. This case involves an off-duty Portland Police K-9 Siggy, who escaped from a yard of his handler by chewing through a wooden fence and accessing an adjacent unfenced yard. Unfortunately, while loose, Siggy attacked a couple who were walking their puppy. Both individuals sustained injuries and required medical attention. While this incident is deeply regrettable and the proposed settlement appropriate, it is important to know that Siggy had faithfully served the Portland Police Bureau for nearly 7 years without any prior behavioral concerns or indications that such an event could occur. Immediately following the incident, the city took swift and decisive action. Siggy was retired from the Portland Police Bureau and rehomed to a specialized facility in Texas that rehabilitates and houses working dogs like Siggy. Additionally, the Portland Police Bureau reviewed and updated its policies regarding the housing and management of police dogs. These updates included mandatory annual inspections of all handlers' yards to ensure their integrity, as well as a police policy requiring that police canines must be kenneled, on a leash, or under the direct supervision of their handler whenever they are outside of the kennel. These measures aim to prevent similar incidents in the future. The handler, who retired in the fall of 2023, was a highly experienced canine handler who served with distinction for many years, eventually retiring as a sergeant in the canine unit. Over the course of his career, he housed 5 different police canines in the same yard without incident. He was both surprised and saddened by this unfortunate event and deeply regrets that it occurred. This explanation is offered not as an excuse, but as context for the handler's experience, the unexpected nature of the incident, and an affirmation of his regret for the pain caused the Norrises. We believe that the proposed settlement is appropriate given the circumstances. We respectfully ask the council to authorize a settlement, which reflects the city's commitment to accountability and public safety. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and City Commissioners. Again, my name is Derek Foxworth, currently serving as the acting captain for the Specialized Resources Division. One of the teams I do get to lead is the K-9 unit. And I'd like to start today by offering a sincere apology on behalf of our unit and on behalf of the organization that this incident happened to the Norrises. It was regretful and should not have happened. To that, I want to talk about a couple things about specifically the mission and why do we have canines to begin with. Separate from this incident, which I don't think reflects the good work that the K-9 unit does, primarily it's used as a locating tool. The K-9 unit supports our patrol officers, our investigations, looking for wanted persons and items of evidence. Many times the canines are used as a de-escalation resource, which I'll talk about shortly. To go specifically, one of the things when I took over the unit back in 2022 was to look at this incident and to say, what, if anything, are we doing differently to learn from these mistakes? That's part of our organization ethos, that's part of the unit's ethos, is to not shirk responsibility, to own our mistakes and learn from them. So one of the things we obviously want to look at was the home care of the canines and how we were securing them at canine handlers' residence. The residence that our handlers have can look different. You might have someone that lives on acreage property, you might have someone that lives on a residential property. So we wanted to look at overlapping areas of safety and security for the canine itself to ensure we're using humane treatment, and then to prevent the animal from escaping. So starting with kind of a typical, residential home, we require a 6-foot fence. But if you've got a 2-foot flower bed next to your 6-foot fence, you don't have a secure facility there with that yard. One of the other things we wanted to ensure is the kennel, that as we move forward, there's basically 3 places that the canine will stay, either in the locked kennel or under the positive control of the canine handler. And that positive control is eyes on leash, or the ability to immediately recall the dog. If a canine handler is going to be absent from their residence for any period of time over 24 hours, they are to pass that dog off either to another handler or one of our vendors that we use for kenneling. In addition, again, so kind of just those 3 individual spots. One of the additional things that we took on in recent months was adding GPS trackers to our canines. So if for some reason these overlapping layers of security failed, we have real-time location ability with also a proximity alert to immediately notify the handler that the canine has left the immediate area that they were supposed to be in. In addition, we have gone through a audit by the Office of the Inspector General, which included an outside subject matter expert to come take a deep dive in our practices, our trainings, our protocols, and our SOPs. We've just received that information in the last couple of weeks, and we're taking a dive into that, and we'll be most likely accepting most of those recommendations. In addition, just want to touch on what it looks like kind of in the day of a canine handler. There's about 630 applications of the canine in a given year. And that's just, don't freak out, that's just boots on their paws on the ground. So that might be looking for a piece of evidence, that might be locating a subject. That's the total deployments that we see utilizing our canines in a given year. And out of those applications, only about 92% will ever end in a force event. So our force numbers are relatively extremely low when you look at the total applications. Again, that's just to kind of highlight and balance, again, this significant event that did happen. We want to recognize it. We want to share with you all, as well as the community, that we did not take this incident lightly. We took immediate steps to mitigate these actions from happening again. And again, wanted to get outside of just our unit and bring in some additional insight. Again, from behalf of the K-9 unit, the Portland Police Bureau, we regret this incident happened.
Great, thank you. And I'd like to add my 2 cents here as well as the police commissioner. I also want to state for the record that this event absolutely should not have happened. And I also want to express my sincere apology to the Norrises. The injuries they received were significant. And frankly, we should be grateful that they were willing to settle this. And I appreciate you, Lieutenant Chief. I appreciate you for taking steps to ensure that doesn't happen again. Again, this is an outlier event. I've looked back into the history of the K-9 unit. It has served with distinction. Colleagues, we've even had canines killed in the line of duty here with the Portland Police Bureau. And the trainers have been exceptional over the years. But that does not in any way serve as an excuse for what happened here. We missed the mark. We made a mistake. And I'm glad that we're apologizing, we're owning up to it, and we're taking the steps necessary to be able to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And I appreciate the perspective that you're bringing today.
Thank you, Mayor. I affirm all of that. I want to clarify one of Derek's comments. It's 92% of the applications do not result in force, so about 8% total incidents, and that's not just force by the K-9, if I understand correctly, Derek, but by any of the officers on scene. So it is a de-escalation technique, a tool that we can use that sometimes is not seen that way, but we rely upon it to be able to bring about compliance with a lower level of force. And I just want to thank council, their participation. I want to thank the city attorney's office. This, as we mentioned, happened in 2021. The good work of all the people involved, including the Norrises, and they're willing to engage in conversation with us and try and come with a resolution. I couldn't agree more, Mayor, that, you know, this is not meant to be adequate in any way. There's certainly a lot of trauma and reason for reflection here. I'm proud of the Police Bureau as a learning organization. And, you know, we're not just committed to our efforts around this program. We are constantly evaluating all of our programs going forward. And that's my commitment to you and to the council, that we will continue to be engaged and demonstrate that responsiveness to not just community concerns, but really doing our best to make sure that we're providing the highest level of service all times, on or off duty, to the city.
Thank you, Chief. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, or is this just in case we have questions?
Yes, Your Mayor.
Great. Colleagues, any questions? Any public testimony?
We have one person signed
All right.
up, Dan Handelman.
Thank you. Welcome, Dan.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, so Mayor Wheeler and Commissioners Gonzalez, Maps, Ryan, and Rubio. I'm Dan Handelman. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a member of the group Portland Cop Watch. Forgive me, I have to ad-lib a little bit for my testimony because you did answer some of the things we raised in our written testimony that we were planning to read. But, you know, we're not here to object to the settlement of $500,000 for the Norrises. As you heard already, the news reports indicated the K9 Siggy, a German Shepherd, escaped from Sergeant Jeffrey Dorn's yard. The dog first attacked Mrs. Norris, biting her arm and dragging her to the ground. When Mr. Norris tried to intervene, the dog bit him on the leg and attempted to drag him. So this incident does raise questions about policy issues, and I'm very glad there's been an example today about how you can discuss the underlying policy issues when there's a settlement made. But it also raises questions, was there any kind of disciplinary action for Sergeant Dorn? I just heard that he's retired at the end of last year, so I don't know if that means that he's going to still have an investigation done on whether he violated any policies. It's also occurred to us that Officer Dorn was the one who was the handler of Mick that was shot, that the mayor referred to, and he also was shot in that same incident, and he might have had trauma that was undetected. It's also not clear how the Bureau can hold the dog accountable. Certainly, you couldn't interview Siggy, but now I heard that Siggy's been retired to Texas, so I'm glad that she's having a good life and wasn't killed, but also is no longer going to be attacking people. We've raised objections before about police using animals to engage in violence against humans. It was a relief when the police horses who had trampled people at protests for years were literally put out to pasture. It's an unnatural thing for horses to have officers sit on top of them with many pounds of weapons on their backs and then walking on pavement. We hope that the PPB will examine whether it's appropriate to teach dogs to attack people. I mean, it's one thing to track them or track drugs. There's another thing to have them bite people and drag them to the ground. It's also incumbent upon the risk management and the city attorney to publish their tables to determine how much to pay for losses that are caused by the Bureau. The family of Copenhagen Henriksen, for instance, only received a $100,000 settlement for the loss of their loved one in January of this year. We're not objecting to the money being given to the Norrises for the harm done to them. We're just wondering why the city engages in moral relativism when doling out taxpayer dollars for damages. The city's outrageous decision on September 4 to appeal the jury's $1 million award to the family of Michael Townsend, who was also shot and killed while in a mental health crisis, is another example. The majority of council thought it was important to get a court ruling about when state law allows police to kill someone. It was stated that information will help the city avoid making future payments. Just over a month later, the Portland police have shot and wounded one man and killed another, bringing their deadly force use to 3 incidents in 6 weeks, as many as they shot in the first half of the year. In summary, we hope you will continue to discuss the issues of accountability for officers whose actions lead to lawsuits. This aspect of the U.S. DOJ agreement just started getting attention a year ago, 11 years into the process. Even then, the compliance officer only reported on the total and average amounts paid out without looking at policy implications. The independent monitor should be looking at these cases, and hopefully we'll ask them the same questions we asked here today. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Dan. Colleagues, any further questions? Please call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio. Aye. Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Next item, please, a proclamation 844.
Proclaim October 15th, 2024 to be White Cane Awareness Day.
Colleagues, this was brought by Commissioner Rubio. She unfortunately had to leave, but she's passed along her talking points. First, I would like to welcome our guests today, Lisa Strader from PBOT, Darian Slayton Fleming and Mary Lee Turner, who are co-chairs of the Pedestrian Safety Action Committee, who will be presenting to us about White Cane Awareness Day. The commissioner is proud to co-sponsor this proclamation. As a result of the powerful impact it symbolizes about experiences and the needs of community members who are experiencing blindness as well as low vision. White Cane Awareness Day marks an important occasion for individuals, organizations, and communities to come together to raise awareness and advocate for the rights of people with visual disabilities. Recognizing and participating in White Cane Awareness Day allows all of us to better understand and support the rights of individuals and the importance of their independence. It's also a good time for all of us to reflect on our personal responsibility to ensure that we're creating that atmosphere and culture, and not just access, but thinking about inclusion, respect, and dignity for those with visual disabilities. It's incumbent upon us in our roles to do what we can to ensure accessible accommodations for all residents with all abilities, and it should be top of mind for our decisions every day, not only on one day per year. So thanks to all of our presenters and all advocates for your work to educate us today, educate our broader community, and for your advocacy and for holding us accountable to our own responsibilities. And those are the words of Commissioner Rubio. And I'm not
Great.
sure who is here to present.
Good morning. This is Lisa Strader.
Hi, Lisa.
I am the Portland Bureau of Transportation's ADA coordinator. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a middle-aged white woman with shoulder-length blonde hair. I am privileged to be here today with Mary Lee and Darian. I'm going to start with a brief PowerPoint presentation to give you some of the main concerns and some important actions that we think can benefit active transportation, especially for blind and low vision community members. And then I will turn it over to the co-chairs of the Pedestrian Safety Action Coalition. So hopefully you're seeing my screen. I think we all say that every time, right? Here is my, and I will be describing my slides for people who are in the meeting that can't otherwise see them. This is my title slide. On the left, I have a photo of Mary Lee happens to be in this picture. Two other White Cane users, Abby and David. PBOT did a photo shoot a couple of years ago about White Cane safety, and we're still benefiting from the use of those photos. This image is of both a White Cane user and a guide dog user. This is called White Cane Safety Day, but guide dogs are just as important and often can experience some of the same challenges. So this, as Commissioner Rubio mentioned, is a message of making every day White Cane Safety Day. This is an image that ODOT created and is allowing us to share. Just to give you a perspective, in Oregon, from the CDC, we have about 980,000 adults that identify as having a disability. This is equal to about 28% of all adults in Oregon are almost 1 in 4, a little over 1 in 4. More pertinent to Portland, the Office of Equity and Human Rights last year issued a survey to people with disabilities, and of the 3,800 respondents, 20% of them identified that they experience a vision disability. And on my slide is an image of the cover of that report. So as we all know, we're here proclaiming White Cane Safety Day. And I've mentioned already that we are also talking about guide dog users. The Pedestrian Safety Action Coalition that Mary Lee and Darian chair, it promotes transportation safety for White Cane and guide dog users. They're here today. The picture on this slide is from Sunday Parkways in late September. We had a White Cane safety booth. Mary Lee is in the photo here. We had material to share and occluded glasses that visitors could try on to give them a perspective of different types of vision loss. It was a really successful day. We had a couple of quick walks around the park as well. So some of the things that we think would be really helpful is continuing to educate drivers about white cane safety. The pedestrian safety for anyone is dependent on both the drivers and the pedestrians. And we want to move to zero injuries and fatalities. We all need to be aware and alert. The photo here is from White Cane Safety Walk last year in 2023. We participated with the city of Beaverton and other organizations and had a great walk on a day that was just a little bit drizzly, not too bad. So many people don't understand what a white cane means. So again, the importance of White Cane Safety Day, raise awareness in a big way on one day. Mary Lee and Darian may share some of their stories. I've heard from many community members about having been hit by both cars and bikes. And just to reinforce the message one more time, a designated day is really important, raise that awareness in a big way, but it's really obviously the other 364 days a year is equally as important. Another image here is Darian and Mary Lee both behind the table. This was another Portland Sunday Parkways a couple years ago. Again, a White Cane Safety booth that we staffed and got to talk to a lot of community members that were at the event and share information. The City of Portland often collaborates on a White Cane Safety Day event, literally on an October 15th event or near that. This year, Portland International Airport, PDX, is doing an event. So next Tuesday, the airport has an indoor navigation system called Good Maps that they're going to highlight for people. They also have ARIA's visual assistance service. They're going to talk about all the other accessibility resources at the airport, like the sunflower lanyards for people with invisible disabilities, the sensory rooms, adult changing tables. And then there will be representatives from various blindness organizations and advocacy groups. So my picture here is from the Portland airport. It's a White Cane user and one of the Good Maps ambassadors testing that system out in the terminal. And with that, I would love to again recognize our partners in ODOT for the image that's on this slide. We've got a Black man using a white cane and saying, "Look for me like you look for other cars," and make everyday White Cane Safety Day. Thanks so much for having us here today. And I think, Darian, you were going to go next.
Thank you. Does that conclude your presentation?
It concludes the presentation. Both Darian and Mary Lee were going to make comments.
Oh,
so
great. Thank you.
Darian was going to go first. And you're unmuted, Darian.
Oh, there we go.
Darian, should we maybe have Mary Lee go first? Mary Lee, do you want to unmute and go and present?
So you want me to go now?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
It is absolutely my pleasure to come here today and to share with you, all of you there. I don't know who all is in the audience, but it's great to be here with you guys, with you people, commissioners. And people often say to me, "Why do you keep doing this? You know, haven't you done this enough?" And the answer seems to be no. I am a native Oregonian, born here in Portland. I'm now 77, have lived with sight loss all of my life, and also have a hearing loss. So I wear hearing aids. And I am, for many years, worked as a rehabilitation teacher with folks who are new to sight loss. I've worked in Florida, New Jersey, and for the longest period of time with the Oregon Commission for the Blind. And I have literally been in the homes of hundreds of people who, as they have lived their lives, on the list of things they wanted to experience, blindness was never on their list of chosen activities. However, that's what is becoming true for more and more individuals because of the longer we live, unfortunately, the greater the chance that you may experience sight loss. And so what brings me here today is, even though I am certainly an expert in traveling with the use of my white cane and have done it for many, many years, my white cane doesn't protect me from drivers who are not paying attention or otherwise occupied with their cell phones or fighting with the kids in the back seat or drinking their big gulps or whatever it is. And it was 13 years ago that I was struck by a driver. She was the granddaughter of my neighbor, and she had just gotten her learner's permit. And I was walking down the street, minding my own business. It was a beautiful day. It was in September of 2011, using all my skills, just doing what I needed to do to get where I was going. And so this young woman got in the car and said, "Okay, Granny, let's go." And she stepped on it backwards, backing out of her driveway, struck me, threw me into the street. And luckily, she managed to stop before she ran over me. Now, that was, 13 years ago? And to this day, before I leave home, I go through a period of anxiety that I have to walk myself through in my home and just, gear myself up, because every time I step off a curb, I become fodder for people that are operating motor vehicles or bicycles or even skateboards. And no matter how good a traveler I am, that's not enough. It's so important to have drivers know, understand, and obey the drivers, the laws that protect pedestrians, that they stop when they are supposed to, because the only rights
Send a
that
message to Lisa
pedestrians
Strader Mobile.
are guaranteed
What would you like to say to Lisa?
are the
Lisa, my mic might have been muted. I will need to have you tell me if.
I think that's Lisa.
Do you want me to keep going?
Yes, please. I don't know.
Okay. Were you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
So I am privileged to be able to use my community organizing skills that I've developed over the years to work with Darian and also with Lisa Strader to facilitate this ad hoc statewide committee. Our goal is for Oregonians experiencing sight loss to know that they have a snowball's chance of getting to travel safely in their community, no matter where they live. And, even though I'm older and my sight is diminishing and my hearing loss is increasing, I'm just not quitting. So I know that some of you have seen me before and heard me before, and I'm not quitting. So I really hope that today you will take home from our sharing that white cane safety is critical, not just on October 15th, which was the date that it was declared the first National White Cane Safety Day by President Johnson 60 years ago. It's really not, it doesn't cover what we need, not just on this one day, but every day and every night. And, we have programs here in Oregon, the Commission for the Blind and other places train people who are willing to, for skills to be able to travel with safety, efficiency, dignity, and fun with their white canes, guide dogs, or human guides to be able to travel in their community and get to do what they want to do, need to do, have to do, would like to do, or sometimes really don't want to do, but have to do anyway. So, you know, that's why I'm here today. And if there's any way that I can be a resource in addition to today, I lay bets that you can find me. Okay. So it's absolutely my pleasure to be here. And I'm not quitting, although I sure would like to. So thank you for your attention and your time today.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it very much.
This is Lisa. Darian was trying to say something, and I don't know if maybe the clerk can unmute her. There you go. Darian, you're unmuted.
Okay, can you hear me this time?
Yes.
We
yes,
can.
loud and clear.
Awesome. Okay. I co-chair the Pedestrian Safety Action Coalition with Mary Lee, and we are so privileged to have a wonderful working relationship with PBOT and ODOT, and specifically Lisa is amazingly supportive. I want you to know that I was hit by a car in August 2005 crossing 102nd at Pacific by the Gateway, Fred Meyer. That accident caused me to have broken bones, be in the hospital for 3 weeks, and 3 months in a care facility where I then developed a staph infection and had other complications. That accident also kept me out of work for 6 months, causing hardship for my employer, who was very supportive, and it postponed my wedding for a year. I want to point out that it was mentioned earlier that people don't often know what it means when they see a white cane. They also don't know what it means when they see a dog with a harness being handled by a person who is blind. My late husband at the gym one day was asked by a man, "Where did you get that cool," I don't know what he called it, but it was the harness. I want one of those. I'm sure my husband said something like, "I don't really think you want one of those because I don't think you want to need one of those. You're very lucky to be sighted." The gentleman that hit me with his car, it was an SUV. Went on, not only hit me, but before me, he hit someone crossing the street who was sighted. And when he gave his deposition, when we gave our depositions, he said, "Oh, I just bumped him." But he knocked him down. After he hit me, I happened to find out that he went on to change his name a little bit and get insurance in Washington. And he hit a car with a couple traveling and caused her to have a detached retina. So white cane safety awareness, guide dog safety awareness, drivers need to know what they're seeing and they need to know the law. There's very little, to my knowledge, covered in the driver's written exam to establish that people know what the law means and what they're seeing. And so, again, I just want to emphasize that white cane safety is really people's safety 24/7, all year long. So we appreciate your hearing our testimony, and I want to thank you.
Thank you all for the presentation. We appreciate it. And now we have some council comments. Commissioner Mapps.
Sure. I just want to take a moment to thank Lisa, Mary Lee, and Darian for joining us today. Excuse me. I also want to say this. I am honored to join this council in proclaiming October 15th, 2024 to be White Cane Awareness Day. Now, as we've learned, the purpose of this day is to recognize and celebrate the achievements of individuals who are blind or visually impaired. Today, we must also recommit ourselves to ensuring full integration, equality, education, and economic opportunities for those living with visual impairments. White Cane Day has been recognized in the United States since 1964 when President Lyndon Baines Johnson proclaimed October 15th to be White Cane Safety Day. Now, it's important to notice that the declaration occurred during the same era as monumental civil rights legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. White Cane Day, in other words, is part of the ongoing civil rights movement, one that began 60 years ago and continues to this day with the goal of achieving equal rights and opportunities for all. In the 60 years since the first White Cane Safety Day, individuals who are blind or have low vision have made remarkable progress. They've become leaders in government, business, academia, and the arts. However, while progress has been made, there is still much work to be done, even here in Portland. We must ensure full and equal access to education and employment for all people with disabilities. Our city has a responsibility to continue striving towards a more just, equitable, and inclusive future, and that's why we must dedicate ourselves to expanding economic opportunity and liberty for Portlanders with visual disabilities. Now, before I close, I want to thank the many city staff members who work tirelessly to support and advocate for our community members with disability. So, in conclusion, with this proclamation, Portland reaffirms its commitment to creating access to education, employment, and full participation for Portlanders with disabilities. And I'm glad to encourage all public officials, all community leaders, educators, and Portlanders to observe White Cane Awareness Day with activities and programs that advance these goals. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Mapps. Commissioner Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Lisa, Mary Lee, and Darian, for your presentation today, White Cane Day. We honor your resilience, your independence, and the contributions of the blind and visually impaired community members. I grew up with two cousins who are legally blind, and that childhood experience was very helpful. And on another matter, I just want to acknowledge your constituency really allowed me to have a deeper concern about our complex humanitarian crisis on our streets. It's extremely dangerous for those of you who are visually impaired, and too many of our public right-of-ways are blocked for pedestrians because of camping and sometimes some very dangerous illegal activity. So compassion has been seeing you in this complexity, and your pedestrian safety is top of mind. Thank you for today's presentation, for reminding us we all share the streets and all public right-of-ways with those who need us to follow basic laws. White Cane Awareness Day is important every day of the year.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez.
I want to thank the presenters for their work in spreading awareness about the white cane and guide dogs as symbols of independence. Portland should be a welcoming, inclusionary place for all, but it requires constant work and sometimes reminders and accountability when we fall short. Our city is seeing far too many traffic fatalities and obstructed right-of-ways, and this is disproportionately distressing to those visually impaired. We must not forget this community and how they are uniquely impacted by challenges in our right-of-ways. Thank you for your advocacy today and for all you do in making partners with blindness or low visibility vision feel part of a community that is supported. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez. And colleagues, with that, I will read the proclamation. Whereas blindness or low vision affects individuals of all ages, all income levels, all genders, and all cultures. And whereas there are different degrees of visual diversity, meaning somebody can be legally blind but still see colors, shapes, movement, and varying degrees of light. And whereas white canes and guide dogs are tools that people who are blind or visually diverse use to identify themselves and to navigate their environment with greater independence. And whereas white cane and guide dog users have the right to travel safely while enjoying all the rights, benefits, and privileges of living, working, and playing in this great city of Portland. Whereas everyone should be aware that Oregon law requires that drivers stop and remain stopped until a person carrying a white cane or using a guide dog has crossed the street. And whereas October 15 was designated in 1964 by the U.S. Congress as a day of education and celebration of the advent of white cane and guide dogs for independent and safe travel. And unfortunately, the last paragraph is not written on my talking points, so I will do my best. Therefore, I, Ted Wheeler, Mayor of the City of Portland, Oregon, the City of Roses, do hereby proclaim today as White Cane Day in the City of Portland and encourage all residents to appreciate, join in, and support this day. Thank you, everybody. With that, we will take a
Thank you.
We'll take a 10-minute break, please. So it's 11:40. We'll reconvene at 11:50. We're in recess. Presentation. We've had public testimony. Any further business on this item? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. 854, also a second reading.
Authorize revenue bonds to finance sewer system capital improvements for an estimated principal amount not to exceed $334 million and to refund outstanding bonds.
Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Keelan, for the next items, could you please read 855, 856, 857, 858, 859, 860, 861, 862, and 863, please.
Yes. 855, initiate foreclosure action at 8040 Southeast Ninth Street for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. 856, initiate foreclosure action at 3623 South Corbett Avenue for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. 857, initiate foreclosure action at 11257 Northeast Sandy Boulevard for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. 858, initiate foreclosure action at 1042 through 1048 Southeast 151st Avenue for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. 859, initiate foreclosure action at 2336 Southeast 130th Avenue for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. 860, initiate foreclosure action at 6329 Southeast 86th Avenue for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. 861, initiate foreclosure action at 1541 Southwest Market Street for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. 862, initiate foreclosure action at 6627 Southeast Woodstock Boulevard for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. 863, initiate foreclosure action at 3003 Southeast 58th Avenue for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property.
Colleagues, I'm pulling item 863 back to my office. The owner of the property has paid off their liens. And with that, I'll turn this over to DCA Beery to introduce the item. Welcome.
Great. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. For the record, Jonas Beery, Deputy City Administrator of Budget and Finance and the city's Chief Financial Officer. These ordinances are part of a coordinated effort by the Mayor's Office, the Bureau of Development Services, now Portland Permitting and Development, the Revenue Division, and the City Attorney's Office to pursue remedies for vacant and distressed properties with delinquent lien payments. It begins the foreclosure proceedings on 8 properties with delinquent city liens that are eligible for foreclosure in accordance with City Code 5.30. The liens were placed against the properties by the Bureau of Development Services for code enforcement violations, various nuisances, nuisance abatement, and/or chronic offender violations. These properties have been identified as causing significant problems for neighbors and are the subject of multiple and frequent police calls and numerous enforcement activities. The Revenue Division works closely with permitting and development to identify properties with delinquent account balances, many of which are designated as vacant and distressed properties by the city's Extremely Distressed Properties Enforcement Program. Kevin Foster, Foreclosure Prevention Manager, is with us today to take us through the items and introduce his co-presenters. Kevin?
All right, thank you. Good morning, Mayor Wheeler, Commissioners, Mr. Jordan. I'll start with stating my name. My name is Kevin Foster. I'm the Foreclosure Prevention Manager for the City of Portland. Joining me is Sharon Nickelberry Rogers, Supervisor for the Budget and Liens team in the Revenue Division, City Treasurer Bridget O'Callahan, and Dan Simon, our City Attorney. Next slide, please. Before I start my presentation, I'd like to take a minute to provide the results of the prior 3 rounds of foreclosure submissions that I've made to Council. 28 properties were referred to Revenue for foreclosure consideration. Out of those 28 properties, 19 were presented to Council. 16 of those properties were approved for foreclosure. 10 of those properties paid off prior to the foreclosure sale, leaving 6 that we moved forward to foreclosure. 2 of the 6 properties sold at our foreclosure sale. For the financial results of our foreclosure sales held from October 2022 through September 2024, the sale proceeds were $532,000. The delinquent payoffs and sale removal payoffs totaled roughly $598,000. Funds collected between both over $1.1 million. Next slide, please. Today I will present 8 vacant and distressed properties with a combined total of 29 liens. The liens on the properties are for code enforcement, code violations, or nuisance liens. 6 of the 8 properties have liens in which the violations have not been corrected, and the case is still open. The combined amount owed is $606,000. Each property will be on its own ordinance. Next slide, please. This is a map of our city identifying where these properties are located. We are not targeting one area. These properties are located all throughout the city. We have 5 in Southeast, 1 in Southwest, 1 in South, and 1 in Northeast. Next slide, please. Once the property owner has corrected the violations and the case is closed, the property owner can see if they qualify for the options listed above. These options are available to address the outstanding balance for the liens. Waivers and lien reductions are handled by permitting and development. Payment plan, hardship plan, and an agreement for resolution is handled by the Revenue Division. Next slide, please. Our first property is located at 6627 Southeast Woodstock. There are 8 liens against the property, delinquent since 2004, $52,000 owed. The property is open to entry, and squatters are coming on the property and leaving behind an accumulation of trash and other debris. Recently, there was a fire at the property caused by squatters. There have been 16 police calls to the property since 2012. Next slide, please. The next property is located at 1541 Southwest Market Street. There are 2 liens against the property, delinquent since 2023. Roughly $8,000 is owed. This property was a former medical office building that has been vacant for over 5 years. The property is open to entry. There have been several attempts that have been made to secure the building, but unlawful occupants continue to return to the property. Neighbors are complaining the people on site are confrontational and argumentative. Neighbors have complained about suspected drug use going on at the property. While reviewing this case, I was reading a report from the housing inspector, which indicated there had been 6 fires caused at the property within the last year. There have been 4 police calls to the property since January. Next slide, please. The next property is located at 2336 Southeast 130th Avenue. There's one lien against the property, delinquent since 2023, and $9,000 owed. The property had squatters on site. Due to the constant return of the squatters, there were metal barriers added to all doors and windows at the property. The structural members on the deck are deteriorating, and this has also created a safety hazard at the property. The property has had 6 police calls since 2023. Next slide, please. The next property address is 1042 and 1048 Southeast 151st Avenue. There are 5 liens against the property, delinquent since 2014. $160,000 is owed. 1048 had a fire at it in 2018. The property is still in disrepair. Neighbors have been complaining about the property, that the property is attracting rodents due to the excessive garbage at the house. Neighbors have also made complaints about finding drug paraphernalia and drug needles at the property. There are abandoned vehicles parked at the property, and at one point there was a squatter living in an RV parked at the property. There have been 134 police calls to the property since 2014. Next slide, please. The next property is located at 11257 Northeast Sandy Boulevard. There's one lien against the property. $21,000 is owed. This property was a former car lot and auto repair business. The tenants of the property abandoned their business, leaving behind abandoned cars, RVs, and boats, as well as accumulation of trash and other debris on site. There's constant squatter activity at the site. In December of this last year, the property owner entered into a compliance agreement with Permitting and Development. He agreed to have the property cleaned up by July 1st. The owner has not complied. There has been 25 police calls to the property since 2023. Next slide, please. The next property is located at 3623 South Corbett Avenue. There are 7 liens against the property, delinquent since 1999, and $191,000 owed. The property has roof and chimney damage. Entrance to the property is obstructed due to overgrown grass and vegetation that extends all the way to the sidewalk. Neighbors are worried about the potential for squatters because of the condition of the house, and it has been vacant for several years. The property owner is elderly, and I have been working with her family members on a resolution. A year ago, we agreed that they would set this property up for sale. That way they could address the liens. To date, the property has not been listed. In the past, the owner has been offered a lien reduction and has been put on payment plans, which have all been defaulted on. There's been 1 police call to the property since 2012. Next slide, please. The next property is located at 8040 Southeast 9th Street. There's 1 lien against the property, delinquent since 2022, and $19,000 is owed. The property owner started building a triplex, but unfortunately ran out of funding during the pandemic. Left on the lot is an open foundation. The property is up for sale, but there's currently no offers on it. The open foundation is a safety issue. The owner has not put a fence around it to try and secure it. There have been 14 calls to this property since 2022. Next slide, please. The next property is located at 6329 Southeast 86th Avenue. There are 4 liens against the property, delinquent since 2014, and $146,000 owed. There is an occupied RV parked in the back of the property. The person living in it is a friend of the property owner. There is excessive trash and debris on site at the property. The property is not hooked up to water or sewage service. This property was originally supposed to be presented back in January. A week before my presentation, I met with the property owner and we came to an agreement. They were to work on the violations, correct them, and then once they were finished, apply for the lien reduction. The property owner has not complied. The owner has not corrected the violation, and the property is in the same state it was back in January. There have been 8 police calls to the property since 2014. 5 of them have been since January. Next slide, please. Next week, you will vote whether to move forward with foreclosure for these properties. If approved, these properties will be sold. If approved, the ordinance will direct the city treasurer to start the foreclosure sale process. Also, if approved, these properties will be sold under our new ordinance, under our new redemption ordinance period, which is now 90 days. The owner can pay off the liens prior to the sale date or during the redemption period. This will conclude my presentation.
Very good, thank you. And that completes the full presentation?
Yes.
Keelan, do we have any public testimony?
We do. We have 3 people
All
signed
right, let's hear them.
up. For item 857, we have Michael Harris.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Michael Harris. I'm a local attorney. It's my first time addressing the council, so please forgive any flubs or errors I make.
Oh, thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir. My office represents a Penny Sidwell, who is the owner of a beneficial interest in the subject property, the 11257 Northeast Sandy Boulevard, Portland, Oregon property. We received a notice of the foreclosure on our office as I prepared the trust deed that originally transferred it to Ms. Sidwell on October 4th, I believe. And then we immediately provided it to Ms. Sidwell, who contacted me to say, what's this all about? A little bit of a background. She owned the property with her husband. Her husband sold the property to the current property owner, Mr. Crom. They acted as essentially the lender. It was a seller-carried transaction. This was in 2007. Thereafter, my client's husband passed away. The interest was transferred to her solely. The current owner of the property, Mr. Crom, well, actually, both these folks are elderly. Mr. Crom has been consistently making payments ever since 2007 when the property transferred. Frankly, when we got this notice of foreclosure, I contacted Ms. Sidwell, or rather she contacted me to say, what's this all about? This is the first she'd ever heard of it. She is a widower. She lives in Arizona. She relies upon this income as part of her retirement plan. After speaking with her, I reached out to Mr. Foster. We had a brief conversation yesterday. He informed me of the hearing today, which is where I'm coming to you today a little bit ill-prepared, but in good faith to say, on behalf of my client, we would ask for more time to allow her to step in as the beneficial interest holder to see what can be done to correct these problems. In investigating this morning and late last night, I also determined a few things that are of interest about the property. Specifically, I noticed that Mr. Foster referred to a plan to correct some of these violations we entered into with the city with Mr. Crom. I noted that Mr. Crom, the owner, as I said, he's an elderly gentleman. It appears between 2023 and to date, there's been no less than 7 different elder abuse restraining order petitions that he's filed that have been granted with the city. Let me retract that a bit. 6 were granted, 1 was denied, although it was refiled and granted against the same original applicant or party to be restrained. 3 of those restraining orders, and I have the case numbers if you'd like them, were related to this subject property. And when I reviewed the Elder Abuse Protection Act applications, they literally related to Mr. Crom saying, I was going in trying to clean stuff up, and these people threatened me and chased me off. I respectfully request that you consider giving a little more time to work on this thing. It doesn't seem to me wise to try to take away what is essentially as far as I can tell, the not sole, but important asset of these 2 elderly individuals, and instead give us a chance to see if we can work with the city to come up with a plan to actually remediate. I can't guarantee where this is going to go, but I can guarantee that we'll work on it in good faith to try to find a solution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Did you have a commission? Commissioner Maps has a question.
Does staff have any response to the testimony that we just heard?
I spoke with him yesterday, and the reason why I moved it forward was just because the original owner had defaulted on the prior agreement that was made.
Well, thank you. And I'm not sure how this fits in the process, but colleagues, I'll say I know this property well. Many of you know I used to be the executive director of Historic Park Rose, which is actually literally right across the street. My job there was to try to help improve economic development along Sandy Boulevard between 99th and 122nd, which includes this property. I've worked with Mr. Crom many times. I think going back about 15 years, so this is not a problem that has just emerged in the last several days. I like Bill a lot. I mean, I think he's a good guy. I also think he's made some choices about how he manages this particular property. It's a challenge for the neighborhood. I tell you, I was just in, I think, Park Rose as recently as this weekend, and that is a great, vibrant community with a couple of particularly problematic spaces there. There are lots of reasons why some of these properties haven't been well kept, but this is a real blight that's tortured the neighborhood for a long time. I've not been on the ground on a day-to-day basis for a while, but I very much know historically there are lots of cars and RVs that are kind of stored in that space, and that tends historically to be a place where people live and conduct illicit business and whatnot. I would be very relieved to see this particular situation resolved. And I think, frankly, unlocking this property and a couple of other properties that are adjacent to it are literally the key to revitalizing the Park Rose neighborhood. So that's my perspective.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Next up.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Just to clarify, if we proceed with the initial foreclosure action, nothing precludes cure, correct? I mean, we're recognizing, I think we're all interested in a settlement of this that can be worked out, but our foreclosure process is painfully slow. And I just want to make sure that we are allowing for the space for your client to engage on cure, but that we're also not holding up already a lengthy process. Sure,
May I respond to that?
Yeah.
You're correct. I've done some foreclosures in my past as a lawyer, and there's some time, but what will happen is the costs of the foreclosure process will get added to whatever cure amount my client would need to make to pay off the lien. And that still doesn't actually address Commissioner Mapps's concerns about the status of the property. I can't guarantee you where my client's going to go with this. All I can guarantee is that this is catching her out of the blue. We reacted as quickly as we got this. And I've worked with Mr. Crom as well in the past, actually helped negotiate a resolution of a prior problem pre-pandemic. But Ms. Sidwell, my client who's the widow in Arizona, she's blindsided by this. And we have a $27,000, I think that's about the right number, bill that's come due right now to prevent this foreclosure. And yes, we would have more time for her to pay it off, but I can't in good conscience tell you that she has the resources or the wherewithal to do it, or that she does not. We have had zero chance to investigate this, and I appreciate Mr. Foster speaking with me yesterday and giving me an idea about where we're at. And I know, not trying to cast any aspersions on him in any way, shape, or form. It's just, it's hard to proceed with such a shortened time frame to give a realistic report back to you or to Mr. Foster about what my client, who's relying upon this as a source of income, can accomplish. She very well might be able to work with Mr. Crom to correct these problems. I can see from the reports as referenced that Mr. Crom appears to have tried to do so and been actively prevented by the squatters that Mr. Foster and Commissioner Mapps was referring to. Maybe this is unworkable, but we're really just begging the council for a little bit more time to figure out if a plan can be developed before added cost and expense gets layered on top of this.
So in terms of the next stage, when do the new costs really start to accrue outside of interest? Like,
So this case is still open, so every month there's a fee added for the case being open.
and is that, what's the roughly a fee per month and how's it calculated?
I believe it's $785.
Excuse me, Mike, do you have more information related to that property?
Sure. Mike Liefeld, Portland Permitting and Development. Monthly code enforcement fees will continue to be assessed while the violations remain uncorrected. And I believe because the length of time that fee has doubled, so it's probably around $1,400 a month because it's a commercial violation, which is a code enforcement fee assessed as a lien against the property. The foreclosure costs would be added at the time of sale or redemption if council votes and it moves through approved foreclosure to a sale.
But the foreclosure costs, I mean, if we proceeded as you proposed, when would the foreclosure costs be assessed? Like what, in terms of, roughly how many months?
Well, the foreclosure costs continue over time. So there are personnel costs, there are title report costs, the barrister putting notices on. So it's continuing throughout the process once the treasurer starts.
And I'm just trying to project out, like if we were to continue down the process, but is there a way to manage those costs and while you're creating space to negotiate a settlement? Because if we didn't proceed now, I mean, some of these properties, right, we get in this process and we delay at any step, the statutory process, it already takes a very long time. And that's just I'm just wondering if there's a way to give space, there's client to sort something out here, but ultimately not hold up the process if we're not able to find a resolution.
Commissioner, I can tell you that I think that this is going to be, we're going to know what we can do on our side as the beneficial interest holder fairly quickly. I would say 30 to 60 days max before we'd have any idea of a plan. And I'm trying to put it out there because I'd rather overperform than underperform on that. As far as the costs, having done foreclosures in my past, I know that when I'm doing a private sale foreclosure, I can start adding attorney's fees the second I send the notice of foreclosure out, as far as what is part of the cure for the redemption of the property. And then, yes, the title reports also, in my experience as a private attorney, we get a title insurance guarantee. That's another expense to the city, all these things to make sure that you're properly foreclosing your lien out. And obviously that some of that has been done since I got the notice of foreclosure, but that's where we're at.
I'm just trying to quantify what are the incremental foreclosure costs that are going to occur in the next 60 days and whether you can manage those costs without holding up your process.
Well, right now, as Mike has stated, because the case is still open, those costs will still.
Totally get those. Yeah, I get I mean, that's but just the actual, for what I would characterize as foreclosure cost.
Again, just the treasurer's costs for mailing out notices and that sort of thing, but.
Can they delay that part for 60 days?
I would refer that to the attorney.
Hi there, Commissioner Gonzalez, Mayor Wheeler, City Commissioners. This is Dan Simon for the City Attorney's Office. So the Portland City Code defines the sales costs as all costs, direct and indirect, associated with a foreclosure sale by the city, including but not limited to county recording fees, title reports, or other means of identifying persons with interest in the property, title insurance, service and notification, publication and advertising, posting, sale, and staff salaries, including benefits and overhead. So those are the costs that would be incurred and would be added to the ultimate sales price, the opening bid. So in terms of what costs could potentially be delayed there, I think I would have to defer that question, unfortunately, to the city accountants. But just to give the council an idea of what would be included in those sale costs, that is what is provided for in our code.
Is there someone that then can answer the question as to what costs can be managed?
Yes, hello, this is Bridget O'Callahan, the city treasurer. For the record, of course, city treasurer. I'm responsible for conducting the sale once council has added the property to our foreclosure list. Generally speaking, our foreclosure process encompasses approximately 90 days. So there is a 60-day notice period for which we will record the notice of foreclosure sale at the county. There are fees associated with that. And so that's the process that starts our foreclosure sale. And that would occur, as I said, approximately 60 days before the sale. So at this point, if we were to add this particular property to the list today, by the time we get all of our paperwork ready to go to actually record that notice, that would probably be occurring in a November timeframe. So we have at least 30 days right now before any additional costs would likely be generated. So there's a little window of time, and I believe the representative from the property indicated that, you know, within 30 days they should have some guidance as to what's possible. So even if you add it to the foreclosure list today, we have roughly a 30-day time period where it's not going to be incurring additional foreclosure costs. It may, as referenced earlier, it would be incurring additional costs associated with the liens themselves. After that time, go ahead.
No, that's very helpful. Please continue.
After that time, once we record the notice of foreclosure sale, that's when the additional expenses truly start kicking in. You know, as referenced earlier, there are title report costs that could come in shortly before that that time frame, but likely in a November time frame. And then additional fees for barrister services, publication in newspapers, that sort of thing.
Got it. Did you have a comment? And I'll turn over to Commissioner Matt.
I would just respectfully suggest that everything they're talking about is going to get poured into the cost of redemption. We're talking a lot about the cost of foreclosure, but the cost of redemption is what my client would need to pay to stop y'all from proceeding with the foreclosure process, which I know that sounds confrontational. I don't mean to be. I'm just saying that this is what we're trying to get our arms around, is to keep everything down so this widower can maybe assess, can I keep this asset or do I need to let this asset go? I have no clear answer. I did say 30 to 60 days. I was trying to be optimistic, but with respect, I'm coming here with about 24 hours notice of any of this happening, even less. Well, that's what I'm dealing with. So I'm asking for a little more time just to work with the city to see what can be accomplished. And if the answer is nothing, I will let Mr. Foster know immediately that my client has to let this go.
Well, again, I'll turn over to Commissioner Matt. I think my intent here is to give space for you guys to dialogue, but ultimately not, you know, unwinding the process, or because these, and I'm saying now for the third time, these processes take a really long time and the impacts on neighborhoods get really painful.
I can speak to that. I know that once the process is started, the foreclosing party does have time to extend the timelines. Everything gets added into the redemption cost, and I suppose the council could accept a lesser cure amount to pay off the redemption rights if that's what's going to happen. But it's not like if you don't vote on it today, you're going to have to kick this thing out another 60, 40, 30, 80 days or start the whole process over. This notice of foreclosure that's gone out has already gone out. Interested parties have been noticed. If you just don't do the next step in the foreclosure process, wait a little bit longer, I don't believe you have to renotice it. Now, I say that not coming to this council having re-reviewed the foreclosure statutes, so I don't want to mislead anybody if I'm in error on that. And if City Attorney's Office thinks I'm in error, then there we go.
Well, and I don't want to jump in here ahead of the Commissioner Maps, but I do want to just remind people this is a first reading. So I would say get to work. And if our staff comes back with a different recommendation at second reading, we'd certainly be open to it. Commissioner? Go ahead.
Sure, and I appreciate Commissioner Gonzalez's due diligence about the costs that are piling up on this particular property as we go through this process. I hope we also just remember some of the social costs that are associated with this property. I'll tell you, I'm probably about 5 years, if not more, removed from the day-to-day interactions with this particular space. But I can tell you back 5 or 6 years ago, one of the dynamics that we would have on this property, which is kind of a vacant lot with a bunch of vehicles and RVs parked there. And frankly, a lot of those RVs would be set up as brothels. And how those businesses became established in the brothels is unclear or whatnot. Certainly the property owner was aware of it. Periodically, the property owner at the time would ask the city's assistance in getting those removed, but then they would come back again. Why that kept repeating is an interesting question, which we never got fully resolved. But it has been a real detriment to the Park Rose community in particular. I have personally invested some of my professional time over almost 2 decades now trying to make this space a little bit better. I sure hope that I recognize people want more time. On the other hand, I am also delighted that we might be at a point where we're moving this conversation forward a little bit, because we're, I think, getting pretty close to at least the 3rd decade of a really challenging property, holding back, turning Park Rose into, or helping Park Rose be its best self. Let's put it that way.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
The next person we have is Brian McDonald for item 860.
Welcome.
Thank you. Well, my name is Brian McDonald. I want to thank you all. Thank you. And excuse me. Sorry.
What's up?
It's really good. Till a second ago. Anyway, I want to thank Mr. Foster for really working with me. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want to thank Mr. Foster for really working with me, being fair, and explaining the process very clearly. I wrote a lot of scribbles, but maybe I should keep it short. I'm sorry. Anyway, 12 years ago, my father died, and I became the trustee of 2 houses, the family house, and then he had purchased his house, and it was in poor shape. With obviously even 12 years ago, when this 10 years ago was when the major. There's 2 open cases, two code violation cases. One's been dragging on for 14 years, and I apologize for kind of bringing down the neighborhood for 14 years. Anyway, so I worked to pay the taxes on both houses, and that's about all I could do. And I was just dragging myself to work, and then Mr. Schultz had been in the neighborhood, and he asked if he could park his trailer on the property, and he said he'd keep looters away, and I thought, well, that would be an improvement, and subsequently he denuded it of bamboo, blackberries, and grapes. I mean, it was completely vegetation, basically, with a house somewhere in there. He's kept bad people away. As far as I know, no one has stashed anything on the property or done anything in the property since Greg's been there. Anyway, I'm trying to keep this short. 1 minute. So then, then it's, a year ago, Mr. Foster's asked me to complete the 2 tickets and talk to the lien reduction people. At the time, I had a catheter in my chest. I had a urinary catheter. I had a mutilated left arm, and I did my best. And I had not had a job for a year. I got a job 4 months later, so that was after 16 months. Still paid off the taxes. Anyway. Anyway, we got close. I believe the property, you saw the pictures. I would say there's no trash on the property. We have all the 7 complaints almost done. We didn't get to meet with the inspector yesterday. I don't know why. He may have driven by and said no, or he may have just been busy. I haven't talked to him. I think it's close to finished.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also for item 860 is Gregory Schultz.
Welcome.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Gregory Schultz. I'm here representing for Brian McDonald. I've actually been on the property, taking care of it for about a year and a half, so since I moved from across the street. been cleaned up, the property, as he's told you. I've been working with Mr. Foster since last time about this problems. Unfortunately, nothing's really been come up to situations because of Brian's health at the time, but now we have gotten a lot progress on it. As he said, one of the tickets could be canceled if the inspector had showed yesterday, and he's going to get a complete reduction on everything, which I'm helping him get everything set up and fixed because I am a contractor. So everything is being going forward. If we could just have a little more time is what Brian's asking. He would like to save his dad's home and wishing, and we're going to go ahead and get that going to where he can go ahead and rent the rooms out and have it back online. If you would just give him a little bit more time, maybe just postpone this decision and put it on to the next one, and he would be able to get this going to where we can get a loan to be able to get this going. He just had a very bad health situation, and I promise you, I will help him get it going. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
That completes testimony.
All right, further questions? Yeah, Commissioner Ryan.
Hi, thanks for being here. It seems like you're here more often. Is that true?
No,
When
you know,
would
we've only been here 3 times this year.
3 times? Okay. I guess my first 2 years, I barely heard these reports, so.
Well, I just started
Okay.
in
You're doing great work.
May of 2023.
So when people want more time and for the next one, is the next one in 3 months? Is that an arbitrary? I'm listening.
You should probably be back, probably February.
Okay, thanks.
January or February.
I add one more.
Commissioner Gonzalez, you got it.
I guess just across the board. So we have some instances where we have engaged property owners or engaged interest holders that are trying to cure or trying to, they're responding and they're showing up here. And then we have the other ones where, it's like pulling teeth to get someone to engage and they've essentially written off the property. So I guess I'm just, as a question back to you guys administratively, how do we keep this moving? How do we not disrupt the processes, but also give space for folks who are engaging in good faith, the opportunity to address these issues? And so I'm asking you guys for guidance to us here as on how not to disrupt what you need to do, but also give folks space to engage in the process.
So what I do is I try to get the arrangement made before they come here, so I can pull it off the list and I won't have to submit it. And then I try to give them the appropriate time that they need to correct the violation. With the McDonald case, the issue is that nothing's been done since January. The pictures that I showed you were recent pictures of the property. And there's also been an increase in police calls to the property, as well as now the neighbors are calling me to complain about what's going on at the property. So in that instance, I couldn't in good faith ask for additional time.
Jonas, you had something to add?
Yeah, Commissioner, so just, and thank you, Kevin, obviously great work that continues. So the intent is to sort of phase these batches so that we can be most efficient with sort of staff time as we go through the foreclosure process and the sale effort for those properties that do proceed. So I say that because the intent is to kind of bring these forwards in packages so that we keep those processes aligned and appropriately manage staff time. It's obviously council's discretion whether one goes forward in this batch or council directs us to provide more time to bring that forward perhaps in the next batch. There is a third path, which is to bring things more frequently. I don't think that's the path we want to do. So I say that because I think the decision is, we kind of bring it as part of this batch, one of the properties that are under discussion, or we kind of pull it back and allow that additional time, which could be 3 to 4 months, to continue working with the property owner or having other impacts. And so I just wanted to be clear that there is sort of intent behind coming in packages. There's a middle ground pathway that we could choose. It just puts those sale timings out of alignment and creates a little more work and inefficiency for staff.
Okay.
So one of the other things I'd like to recommend is for these particular two properties, we put them over to next week. That'll give us time to do some discussion about what to do and how to move forward. And then next week, we'll know whether or not we'll be presenting them for foreclosure
Sounds good to
consideration.
me.
Yeah, and if I may be so bold, and I'm not speaking specifically to any of the proposals that are before us today, I'm speaking generally. A lot of these properties are extremely problematic. They have become a dangerous nuisance to their neighbors. In many cases, their neighbors have complained directly to the owners and to the city for years. And only after they make it onto this list do we finally hear from the property owners. And they come in and they tell us about their sincere intentions to fix things up. And I will tell you, after 8 years on this council, maybe I'm getting a little bit cynical about that. These property, as I've said at every one of these sessions over my 8 years, it is very hard for government to take property away by design. This process is laborious, and you guys do very, very difficult work. And it goes through stage gate after stage gate after stage gate in order to get to where we are today. And where we are today is after there has been extensive time, years of time to resolve these issues. Every opportunity for people to hire a representation or a lawyer or anybody else. And only today do you start to hear from the property owners. And in fact, we even had one of the ones I was frankly looking forward to foreclosing on pulled out of this package because it has been a nuisance, an eyesore, a disgrace in its neighborhood for years and years. And still there's another opportunity for the property owner to do something with it. Now you have a week. And the people who represent these properties know they have a week. I will tell you, I'm not optimistic that much will change in a week if things haven't changed in years, with notice after notice after notice. So call me a jerk, but don't call me naive. Those are my thoughts. Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Anything else on these? Good, this is a first reading.
I do
Well,
the softie,
can I collectively, or do I have to do it individually? I have to do it individually, don't I? Hang on for a sec. What number did we start with?
855.
855, first reading of a non-emergency ordinance goes to second reading. 856, first reading of a non-emergency ordinance goes to second reading. 857, first reading of a non-emergency ordinance goes to second reading. 858, first reading of a non-emergency ordinance goes to second reading. Which one did I pull?
The last one.
859, first reading of a non-emergency ordinance goes to second reading. 860, first reading of a non-emergency ordinance goes to second reading. 861, first reading of a non-emergency ordinance goes to second reading. 862 is the first reading of a non-emergency ordinance. It goes to second reading. And 863 is the one we pulled, correct? Okay, so that's where we are with those. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, city staff, for your good work on this. I appreciate it. 865 is our last issue. It's a report.
Amend contract with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated to extend on-site design and construction support services for the Bull Run filtration project.
I'll pass this on to Priya Dhanapal, DCA for Public Works, to start this presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. And good afternoon, Council. This is Priya Dhanapal, DCA for Public Works. This report, Council, is regarding a contract amendment with Stantec Consulting for extending the contract by 5 years to October 31st, 2029. No additional funding or contract capacity is requested at this time. This is simply an extension of contract duration. This contract is for engineering, design, and construction support services for the Bull Run filtration project. These services are important or necessary to implement the planning, design, and construction of the filtration facility that comply with the long-term to enhance surface water treatment rule. And renewing this contract for an additional 5 years will allow for uninterrupted services as we work towards meeting a deadline for compliance agreement with Oregon Health Authority. And with that, I'm pleased to call upon Jody Inman, Portland Water Bureau Chief Engineer, to give us the presentation.
Great. Thank you very much, DCA Donna Paul. My name is Jody Inman. I'm the Chief Engineer for the Portland Water Bureau, and I promise I have a short presentation for you today, knowing it's been a long morning. Next slide, please. So as you are all very well aware, the Bull Run Filtration Program includes 2 projects, the facility as well as the pipelines. The facility is currently Stantec, the consultant that we're here for this request today, is the designer for the filtration facility. Next slide, please. We knew when we started this project in 2017 that it was going to take us 10 years to bring the potable water delivery online. And in November 1st of 2019, we passed an ordinance to enter the design contract with Stantec Consulting Services for the filtration facility. We knew at that point in time that the scope of the work was going to exceed the 5-year city contracting limit. And at that point, we also included in the ordinance that we would come back to council requesting an extension to the contract, and that is where we find ourselves today. Again, this is a no-cost extension. All of the costs and the scope for this work were included in the costs that were brought to council with the annual report in April of this year. I also want to state that the contracting co-bid percentage goal was 20%, and they are currently at 22.42% at this point in time. Next slide, please. I just wanted to share a moment of good news for this project. Since the authorization of the GMP2 by you all in April of this year, we started construction on June 3rd, and in just over 4 months, we have achieved a significant amount of progress on the project. There were a lot of risks that we all remain concerned and are diligently working to address. One of those was getting to a lot of the site work and earth movement during the dry weather. They have done a phenomenal amount of work, and they have done it safely and with all efforts to engage responsibly and safely with the community. With that, next slide. So that's the end of my report. We are just requesting the acceptance of the report to council to extend this contract with no cost.
Very good. Do we have public testimony?
No one
Commissioner
signed up.
Ryan?
I move.
Commissioner Ryan moves the report. Commissioner Mapp seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Maps.
I just want to thank our Deputy DCA and the Water Bureau for really great work on this project. I vote aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Sometimes it pays to come at the end of the agenda. Well done, and we are appreciative of the work that's been done. It's a very, very well-managed project. Thank you. I vote aye. The report's accepted. We're adjourned.
Thank you.